Hey everybody, this is Eric.
I'm Daryl.
Welcome to episode 109 of Throwin Wrenches.
This is the automotive podcast that is not going to talk about Tiger Woods.
But are we going to talk about EVs? Does that make any sense?
On this episode of Throwin Wrenches,
Jim Fairley speaks. We listen, for a minute at least.
Toyota revives a nameplate.
Could it be?
Oh, I hope so.
Oh.
And Race Daily Kill.
Race Daily Kill. I'd need an echo machine for that one. All that and more on this episode of Throwin Wrenches. There we go.
Yeah, that takes forever.
I don't think there's ever too much funk in our life, Daryl. Good job with that.
Hey, I've been learning guitar. I've been taking a YouTube course.
Yeah, little George Clinton.
A little, funky guitar.
Get down, get down.
I wish I could play. Can you play? Do you play guitar at all?
No. But I am a subscriber to Professor Harold Hill's Think Method.
From the Music Man?
I believe if I think it, I can do it.
It
It has not worked out well for me so far.
Figured.
Yeah. Anyway, everybody, thanks for listening and enjoying the fun of the show. Just email us at info@throwinwrenches.com or to post a review on iTunes. You'll be heard all around the world. We got some messages. We got some email we're going to read on this episode, so we appreciate all that. Also, check us out on YouTube. I get emails all the time from YouTube telling us all the things we're doing wrong, Daryl.
Oh, like
I blame that on you.
From an attorney standpoint or
well,
legal?
From YouTube's version of what's going on.
All right. So we're about to be banned, so you probably want to listen to us on YouTube before that happens.
Or some pirate radio of some sort.
Yeah.
Do you know about Daryl Scott? Have you met my co-host Daryl Scott?
Jeez.
He can tear down a slant six in record time, likely. But this guy would rather be driving than tuning right now. That's why you'll find him chewing up the miles in Indiana instead of laying under his fury to make the fix. He's sure to tell us all about it in this project section. And don't forget the sauce.
Is that the hot sauce?
Well, I don't know. Maybe the special sauce.
Special sauce.
Did you say sub sauce?
I might have.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for that lovely intro. I appreciate that. For those who don't know my co-host, well, ladies and gentlemen, signori, signori, I present to you a man who is not only a seasoned tour guide who knows the boot of Italy like the back of his hand, but he's managed to rack up some hefty fines for his spirited driving on the autostrada. That's right. You'll hear about that later on, too. He's the elegante Enzo Ferrari to my grasso Fiat Multipla. I'm saying I'm fat and he's skinny. He's Signor Enrico Stahl.
Ciao, ciao. Yes. Love it.
I don't speak Italian. Did you pick up a little Italian along the way?
No, so it's funny because the guy came into the dealership today and he started speaking a little Italian. He was like, oh, God, what did he say? It's typical greeting stuff. But I told him, I'm like, that's like literally going to like third gear. Just to talk Italian when somebody walks in and says something to you.
Was it before you had your morning coffee?
No, it was like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. It's just like, if you're not prepared. Now, when you're like going into stores, you're going into restaurants, you're talking to family and stuff like that, and you literally are, your codec in your head is like constantly,
you're immersed in it.
We talked about this maybe during the pre-show, but it's so much work. It's so much, your mind is spinning all the time with trying to get the extra language out there. It's tough.
Yeah.
So, yeah. No, but thank you. The Autostrada, I like that. That was a nice. But
I try.
To my Grasso, the Grasso, Grasso Fiat Multipla.
It's big. It's chubby.
Okay.
Or
it's not grande like Starbucks?
No, it's not grande.
What's the scene from Role Models where Paul Rudd goes crazy?
It's not Venti. Venti's 20. Yeah, it's true. It's or now Trenta. By the way, America is so great that we now have the Venti wasn't big enough, so we got a Trenta, which I believe is 30.
Just what Americans need. That's what they're sitting like. Hey, we are sponsored by Forts Toyota Pekin. You probably knew that if you've been a listener to the show. Forts Toyota Pekin, you can find them on the web at toyota-pekin.com. That's where you find their website with all the new car inventory that is literally going. The cool thing about I work for Forts Toyota Pekin. I don't know if you know this, Daryl.
You do?
If you go to the website and you look up the new inventory, it'll show you cars that are available, show you cars on the ground, and it'll actually show you cars in transit. It's a really cool feature because every day as you sit there and you watch the leads come in, you can see people actually inquiring about cars in transit. It's the coolest thing in the world because literally, if you at a Toyota dealership like I am every day, you'll know that cars, when they roll off the transport, they're almost pre-sold.
They're
all the time.
gonzo. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We've had 5 Camrys come in the last 2 days, and they're all sold when they roll in the lot. So if there's a car you're looking for, there's something you want to see, go to toyota-pekin.com, and you can check that out. Also, check out all their social media. You'll see that Eric Stahl, the service manager, was there for 30 years today.
Congratulations on your 30th work anniversary.
Yeah, on April Fool's Day, 1996, I walked through the doors there.
No joke.
Yeah, it was a joke because when I rolled in there, the guy who hired me, Jeff Now, who worked for Uftring, literally quit sometime in late March. So when I walked in, the used car manager, Rich, had just taken over the whole store.
Oh, wow.
And he looked at me like, what are you doing here? I'm like, I'm starting today.
You guys hired me like 2 weeks ago. We did?
It was the worst thing ever.
So you started in sales.
Yeah.
I think you've told that story before.
Yeah.
You started in sales.
Yeah.
And so what were you selling like hotcakes back then? The Camrys? You know, that was the golden age Camry, I like to say.
Yeah, so 1996 is when I started, and we still had Supras. The special edition Supra came out in 97, and that was the last year of that. We had Celicas, and that's why my wife and I were like so fond of the Celica convertible, because we were standing on the showroom floor looking at that green Celica special edition.
Yeah, the one
back
you
in the
still
day
have.
with the tan top.
Yeah.
We didn't buy it at that time. We bought one used, like 15 years later. But there's just like a whole vintage of cars from the 90s. But the RAV4, it came out brand new. My sales pitch when I walked in and I interviewed with Jeff Now was, I literally looked at USA Today and I read all the specs on the RAV4. The RAV4, I mean, think about this. The RAV4 basically invented the mid-size SUV of all cars. And when it came out in 1996, it was straight from Japan. It was on a Celica platform. It had the same little 2-liter engine.
Yeah.
It was narrow. It was tall. It was the weirdest little car. But, I knew everything about it when I sat down that interview. And
I think that's what got you the job?
It had to have. I swear to God. So
that's so funny.
Yeah. We saw a lot of Ravs. We saw a lot of Camrys, a lot of Corollas back then.
Yeah, see, I didn't even think of that, too. Like, you actually were still there when they were doing the Mark IV. Was it 4? No.
Supra?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's Mark V now. It's Mark IV.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you were still, like, on the showroom floor, there was a Supra.
Yeah, there was. And the Tacoma just came out. We went from the regular Toyota pickup in 1994 to the Toyota Tacoma in 95 and a half, and the 96 Tacoma was the first year of the Tacoma. And
so if you actually think about it, 3 of the cars in your stable harken back to those cars that when you first started working at Toyota.
Absolutely. And the 4Runner, that third-gen 4Runner back then was pretty hot. Aiden had one, but
those were cool.
They were.
That was a neat truck.
Yeah. So, that's where I started. So, actually, if you want to follow Forts on the social media, you can do at Forts Toyota, I believe, get you most of them. You can always find them on TikTok. You can find them on Instagram, Facebook, all that stuff. And guess what? I pretty much run all that stuff. So, if you want to see my mug, follow all the Forts pages, okay?
Yeah, get your stuff in there for service, too. It's a good reminder. Before you start taking any summer road trips, Forts they'll set you up.
Yeah, they'll hook
you
up. Got a good crew in service right now, so I appreciate that.
Very nice.
Patreon supporters, thanks a lot for your support. You've been super patient. It took like a month for us to get this next show out, but to be fair, Patreon supporters, they get 90 minutes of like killer commentary, right, Daryl?
We actually had a pretty good one this time around. I mean, they're all good.
Banger maybe.
We didn't talk all about movies and music this time. There's a little bit of
a little.
But it was mostly about travel and about customer service.
We talked a lot about that. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That was good stuff. So if you want to hear what we have to say kind of behind closed doors, well...
Daryl got a little salty. I'm just going to say that towards the end of the show. So if you have children listening, hold their ears.
Okay. Earmuffs. Well, we don't want to hold our ears when people do comment and weigh in on what they think of this show. So on Spotify, Eric, it looks like we did have a comment from a listener in the interim while we took a little hiatus.
Danny, spot on. I think Danny's your friend here. He's my actually. What am I talking about? Everybody's our friend.
Everybody.
I got to blow this up. I was literally stalling. Danny. I'm sorry.
The text is too tiny. Oh, that's fine.
Yeah. Actually, what am I doing here? I could
you could pinch and zoom.
I could. Danny, spot on. Another great one. Fun to hear the progress on the Fury and the plans for the motor. Fun discussions as always, and love both the Cars of the Week picks. Wanted to vote Tacoma for the poll, but it seems I officially can't vote. Maybe a Spotify issue. Spotify polls only last like 2 weeks. I don't know what that's all
they
about.
Close or something.
They do. It's they won't leave them open in perpetuity.
Wah, wah.
Anyway, thanks for the great show and keeping things rolling over there. So thank you. That was from episode 108.
Yeah, very kind of you. If you want to shoot us what you think of the show, you can always leave a comment on the platform you're listening to us on, or info@throwinwrenches.com. We've got a couple of conversations going there too. It's always fun to hear from our listeners.
Todd just sent us some great emails, and he's got some great stuff going on. Appreciate the feedback. All right, so the votes did come in. Let's get the projects here.
Yeah.
Project
Special effects.
I gave up on the $20 Amazon device, so what do you do with that?
I'll find a $30 one.
And it'll work. I literally was looking for like a $40 device. Doesn't exist.
No.
And I'm not going to put like something else in line. Anyway, the votes are in, or are they? So it was a pretty even split. Everybody was. It was all. I would not say it landed one way or another, but when I talked to Mr. Fort the other day, it's going to be the Land Cruiser. So
really,
it is.
Okay.
Yeah. So when it boils down to it, there's a Ultimate Edition in Trail Dust that will be coming back into the dealership, and as soon as we get a Tundra secured for that customer, I'll be getting that one. And but Mr. Fort looked at me and he said, "You don't still off-road, do you?" I'm like, "What does that mean?"
Does the bear something in the
wear
woods?
A funny hat? Yeah.
So Trail Dust, is that like kind of like quicksand? Is it like a dark tannish?
It's actually more of a yellow tint than your Tundra.
Okay.
Because what is your Tundra called? Sandstorm?
Quicksand.
Quicksand, yeah. So it's a little more yellow. The Ultimate Edition came with the round headlights, but also came with, I called them the garters on the floor mat, or the mud guards and stuff.
I just found a picture of it. It is a beautiful looking color.
So imagine that now with my wife's new Karashi yellow Prius. Our driveway is just going to be the weirdest color, right?
No, you like color. Well, that plus the green Celica, and you guys like color. That's fantastic.
We do. We don't own a gray car.
Actually, the camper pulling behind this would be quite colorful.
Oh, that's cool too. I never thought about that. Thanks a lot, Daryl.
So Land Cruiser, you're getting. Is it in stock now, or is it coming?
No, it's coming in.
Okay.
So and actually, I've hired. Haven't got it nailed down yet, but there's a media company in Peoria. I probably should promote them a little bit, but we're probably going to document more with video and stuff as far as what we want to do with the truck and some improvements and stuff like that. And then ideally, I'll be taking that out in June out to Colorado.
Nice.
Do a little wheeling with it. So should be fun. So
it'll make good content, and plus, you guys never leave anything stock. If you're going to kind of,
No, we got a couple good ideas as far as putting a lift on it, and of course, want to a little stance it out. The Land Cruiser is an interesting car because I think we talked about in the last episode. The customer that buys a Land Cruiser isn't necessarily a wheeler, but at the same time, it's a prestige vehicle. So anytime you see a prestige vehicle that's got a little enhancement to it, I think there's people look at it a little more seriously.
Yeah.
It's funny because I know the Tacoma, I talked to Jake a lot about this. Jake's like, do a Tacoma. Because we obviously sell a ton of Tacomas and we do some lifts and stuff on those.
Yeah.
But can I do a package and an upgrade and a lift on a Tacoma better than any of my customers? Not likely. Actually, I have some customers with some killer Tacomas. And Jake, to be fair, has a killer 4Runner. So to take a Land Cruiser, maybe do some stuff that nobody else would do, because normally that customer doesn't do that stuff.
Yeah,
it actually might make it more interesting and more fun. So,
well, I'll give you that. And Jake used to have, and then our other
Jake
good friend
used to have everything.
He did.
Okay.
And then our
Patreon Jake. Sorry,
he had a Land Cruiser that had a kit, lift kit on it, and some other stuff done to it. And that thing was such a standout because it looked like no other Land Cruiser. And
it was unique.
It was. And I remember seeing that, and I thought, most of these I just see, frankly, they're in nice family cruiser. People use them for shuttling the kids to and from practice and stuff like that. But this thing looked like it was gonna do some damage, or you could take it to one of those Icelandic volcano type things.
Right. Put the big tires on it and just
So it's a cool platform. These new ones, to your point, I haven't seen any one of them other than a stock platform. I would love to see what you guys are going to do with this.
Yeah, Chi-Town 4x4 did a trip to the Badlands, and they had a guy with a blue one with him. He had so much garbage on the roof. It looked like a guy. it reminded me of like when I was a kid with the G.I. Joes and like stacking all the stuff on there. Like, I'm going to go somewhere. I got all the stuff I need.
Yeah.
I think you got to be careful not to look like you're totally safarieing the thing out.
Comical.
Yeah.
But it's hold on. This is radio.
Yeah, that's it.
That's the color.
And even the roof rack, yeah.
It's nice. So all the extra kind of cladding on the bottom and stuff, the black. That's a beautiful looking color combo.
I think it'll be great.
Yeah.
I really, really hope that I get it in the next month or so and we can start getting ready for Cars and Coffee. I actually look forward to going to Cars and Coffee, bone stock,
yeah,
and then just start improving it throughout the year. So, and of course, Forts is a sponsor of Cars and Coffee again this year. So,
which I believe kicks off. Well, it's going to rain maybe, but Saturday the 3rd. I think it's this Saturday.
Holy smokes!
I think it's the opener.
All right. Well, this show will come out after that, likely. So, but
all right,
totally cool. I will. Maybe I can be there. Never know. You going to be there?
I might be.
Depending on the weather?
Yeah, if the weather's crummy, I won't. There is another car show that day, the indoor show in Pekin, the early Ford V8 show.
Okay.
That's always fun, too. So, Saturday.
I don't have an early Ford, so I don't find any pleasure in that. I certainly don't own a V8 besides my Tundra. Can I take my Tundra to the show?
Sure, you can.
Okay.
It's an invitational, but that's fine.
Oh, man. Also, what do we got going on? Oh, Eric just got back from Italy again, so.
Surprise.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I just... somebody asked me, and you just asked me a little bit ago, am I going to move there? I'm not going to move there, but, man, I certainly enjoy my time. And any time I can get there for a cheap ticket, I am game. So we went to Venice, took the high-speed rail from Venice down to Rome.
How long did it take?
Well, 3.5 hours maybe, but I know it had a top speed of, 350 kilometers or something like that an hour.
It's pretty insane, isn't
it? She was boogieing.
Yeah, and you're sitting in there like, I don't feel like I'm going that fast, but it's if you ever watch video footage of those things, it's like
you're watching the cars and everything around you. It moves. It's fun, and every time I go to Europe, it's invariably, of course, anytime. It doesn't matter where you go. You go to Houston, Texas, and come back and be like, well, why do we do things like to do in Houston? You know,
right.
But when you go and you ride a high-speed rail anywhere, and then you come back to Illinois, and you get off at O'Hare. First off, any European airport is like heads and shoulders way above the cleanliness and the functionality of O'Hare. I don't get it. I don't understand how O'Hare is such a mismatch of just all these different terminals and they don't match.
No.
Nothing, and then the food courts are all terrible. When you're in Europe, all the food is like decent in all the places and it's different.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense. Well, the thing that really makes no sense is why can't I hop on a train or do anything from O'Hare and get back down Central Illinois?
You got to take the L, you got to take the Metro, you got to hop
exist.
Over here, you got to go. Yeah, I know. There's a lot of things that you almost need to just like, let's blow this up and not blow it up, but start over.
I mean, seriously, when you pay $100 for parking for a couple days at O'Hare, you're like, why can't we have some investment in rail? Because for how much we're spending on parking everywhere and $4 gas, I mean, it doesn't make any sense to me. But it is what it is. And fortunately, it took me 55 years of my life before I figured out that maybe a train is a nice thing to take besides a car all the time. And believe me, I'm the king of driving a car across the country.
do like a good road trip.
I do. So, but I also enjoy some convenience where I don't have to park my car and pay for it. If I could just get on a train in Bloomington and get to O'Hare, God, how nice would that be?
That would be really nice. I mean, you can. It's just you have to add it all into your time.
And then you're just like, I might as well drive.
Yeah, right? You get that, might as well.
Yeah.
So Italy, just to recap, I know we talked a little bit in the pre-show. You took the whole fam. An extended family.
Yeah.
Like your folks, your cousins, who all went with you.
Yeah, this is one of those things where I told Daryl I could start a travel podcast. I could just talk about all the logistics.
Like Rick Steves.
Yeah, right. I took, of course, Angela and I went with our son, but my mom, who'd never been to Italy in her life, and my dad, never been to Italy. My brother, my sister-in-law, my cousins and their kids, my sister.
How many people total?
It was like a group of 16 people.
Wow. That's
with my aunts and uncles and everything, yeah.
Yeah,
it was a huge group. And at one point I had to rent 2 Mercedes transport vans to take them all the way out to our hometown of Beffy in the middle of nowhere. And, it was something.
It's intense.
And all that stuff takes place months in advance. I mean, when you're planning a European trip like that and you're speaking a different language, and you're Googling the hell out of these companies and you're talking to them, and you just, when you get somebody who speaks English and understands your language and they're working with you, you're like, still the day of, the trip, I'm standing there in front of the hotel like, I hope this wasn't a grift.
I hope a van shows up. I hope the second van shows up.
It's true, man. I mean, I gave them $1,000, 90 days ago, and they had a good rating and everything. They seemed okay.
Everything worked out.
It did.
Logistics-wise.
It was a great trip, and I tell you what, man, I saw some great stuff, and I've been to Italy countless times now, but every time I go, it's always a unique experience with family out in the middle of nowhere, just not doing the touristy thing, and you just never know what's going to happen. And once again, crazy stuff happened. Locals came out and were like sharing their food and their wine, and my family's like, "Oh, this is normal." I'm like, "This is not normal. You better suck it all in, right?
Enjoy every minute."
Yeah.
And also, I'm eating all of your prosciutto that you're not eating.
Yeah, right? Yeah. So, no, phenomenal. We went to Venice. I'd never been to Venice before, and there's no cars in Venice, so why talk about that on the show? But
you gonna get into classic wood-bodied boats?
No.
Do you see some nice boats though?
Dude, I thought about that too, because we were at one point we took the boat taxi from the airport out to the island, and I thought that's a whole lifestyle. And this happens in the Gulf Coast. This happens all over the United States, where there's like,
oh sure, yeah.
there's people who live the lifestyle on the water, right?
Yeah.
But we're such Midwesterners here. We don't understand that lifestyle.
It's very different.
Can you imagine that just your whole life is like tuning up boats and lifting boats up and cleaning them and sealing them? I'm like, I get it. It's cool. I know nothing of this.
Yeah, it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
I do the same thing whenever I'm in Florida. I'm looking at some of these things. Yeah. I'm like, it'd be cool to have a boat. And then I leave. I'm like, I'm not getting a boat.
Yeah, I'm never getting a boat. I'm never getting
just
a boat.
going to charter a boat.
Yeah, but we took a gondola ride at one point, and the gondolier was, he's been doing his whole life. He's probably in the 60s. His son is a gondolier. And he was proud of him. We were talking about it. He's like, he's very good.
It's like a tradition.
Yeah, it's pretty neat.
Super fit, really good abs.
Oh,
and arms.
Yeah. I mean, the guy's like a rock,
Yeah. You're doing that for 60 years or whatever.
And part of me is like, would that be fulfilling? But then I'm like, I go to my job, and today was my 30th anniversary. I'm like, is this fulfilling as me going to my job for 30 years?
Maybe.
I don't know. It's hard to say.
You can't have an off day though. There's certain jobs where, if you're a gondolier or a pilot or a race car driver or an astronaut, like you can't be like, I'm gonna phone it in. I'll work this remote today.
Yeah.
No, you have to be, or like a, like a surgeon. You're like doing double bypass or heart surgery. You can't
I think it'd be easier to take a pass on a gondolier day versus a surgeon day.
Probably.
Yeah. I don't know. Just me. I don't know. It's customer service, right? If you're working for a tip, if you're hustling for a buck, but over there they don't really hustle for a buck the same way. So
yeah, well, and like the tipping culture it's different,
totally different. Yeah. No, it's cool. Venice is cool. I really think it's one of those things. Is like I didn't understand. I maybe still don't quite understand Venice, but I think it's one of those things that once you go there and you're like, it's a different pace. It's definitely old world in a lot of ways
versus like Rome and some of the other cities you've been to. Yeah,
it is touristy, but at the same time, it's only as touristy as you want it to be, because there are pockets all over Venice, especially in off season, where you can like be your own person, see your own thing. You're not like trapped in crowds like Rome. You're not like you're not in like lots of lines and stuff like that. Rome and all the major cities of the world will have you in a corral somewhere in line for something. Venice, you can literally walk in any part of that island, and there's like, 400 or 500 bridges or something like that. Maybe it was 1,500. I don't remember what it was. But
something crazy.
You'll find a bridge somewhere. You'll be like, I should take a picture of this. Nobody's ever seen a picture of this. Likely 15 million pictures have been taken of that spot.
It's in picture frames in somebody's house. Yeah.
But to you feel like you found an intimate spot that's ancient and unique, and that doesn't happen many places in the world. So it's pretty cool. So highly recommend it. Rome is Rome. I love Rome. I'll go back to Rome all day long. But it's all about the family, dude.
Yeah. I'm glad you were able to go, and everybody seemed like I had a good time.
Yeah.
Got some great picks as well.
Yeah. Check out the pre-show. Honestly, like I told Daryl, I could go in deep. I wrote a blog post. If you go to plantstall.com, you see a little bit about my family and what we do when we go to Italy. But it's just a scratch on the surface. It really is. Just, you spend 7 days with family, and I can't even document enough. And for some reason, I feel like I have to document it. I'm like the family scribe or something like that, but it doesn't even matter. All right, so back to regular projects. Aiden, my son, is in college, and spring break is coming up. Easter break is now coming, and he just really feels like I got to get that Celica convertible going for him again. So
I saw it. So when I pulled up, it was sitting out. I thought you were going to do a little swappy swap.
Was it? No. Celica was it there?
Yeah, it was sitting out of the garage.
Oh, it is. It's sitting outside the door. Yeah. So no, you're right. So that one I changed oil on. The green one, the 97. That's the one he drives to college all the time that he stole from my wife, and she'll never forget him. It's the green special edition with the tan top. I put a new top on it eons ago. But axle, dude, this is where you know you failed as a parent.
What?
So my son texts me this week, goes, "Hey, how's the Celica going?" I'm like, well, I said the axle boot was leaking, but I said likely you hadn't heard any noise because it wasn't really dried out. So I replaced the axle and changed oil, and he goes, I have no idea what any of that meant. And I'm like, God bless it.
None of it? In his 20-some years of life...
He has no idea what an axle or an axle boot is, or being dry or anything like that.
But he's owned like 3 or 4 cars.
Doesn't mean he's ever seen an axle. I sent him a picture of it, and he just had no idea. The milky fluid coming out of the axle.
Cool.
Yeah.
So is it done yet?
Yeah, exactly.
When can I pick it up?
Exactly.
Is that what you... Yeah, that's nice.
Now, to be fair, when I was his age, I had no idea either.
You didn't change like your own oil or
Nope.
tune stuff up?
No.
Okay.
Mid-20s before I even touched any of that stuff.
Okay.
And that was when we owned a house, and Ange and I, maybe Ange was more frugal than me. She's like, you could change oil yourself. And it was like on that Mercedes 190. What a nightmare that was, because it had a big old shield underneath it.
Yeah. Dissect half the vehicle. Get some special Mercedes-Benz tool.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So anyway, no, I didn't know any of that stuff either. I've learned a lot by proxy of working in the shop over the years.
Oh, that's good.
Also, I got a new Tundra bumper on eBay for like $250. I mean, if I bought
front or rear?
Rear.
Okay.
If I bought the factory bumper and I bought the plastic cladding and I bought the license plate lights and all the other trim that goes with it, I probably would have spent $1,200. I got on eBay for like less than $300 shipped to my house.
Is it chrome or painted?
It's chrome.
What happened to did it get rear-ended?
The other one, you can just like press your finger through the chrome and just like it just goes.
It's time.
Yeah, where the exhaust, especially on the right side of the truck, where the exhaust gets like all that moisture.
Yeah.
It's just like all tore up. And then at one point, I don't know what she did, but the whole plastic cladding thing like flew off, and the license plate flew off with it. And so I zip tied. If you ever see my truck, the license plate is zip tied on the back because it's missing all the plastic trim back there.
That poor Tundra. Well, the front bumper, it's
ARB.
ARB.
Yeah.
So it's a nice beefy. The front of it looks awesome.
It will kill anybody who gets in its way.
And that's kind of what I was thinking.
Yeah.
The back's just all stock.
Yeah.
I guess I never looked at it. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't go anything crazy back. You could spend $1,200 on an aftermarket bumper for the rear of the truck, and I don't even know what the point of that is when I could spend, like I said, a couple $100. Just get the bumper I need. Just got to stand on it. It's fine. So
okay, fair enough.
Yeah, but so that's going on right now. And then I signed up today, just literally today, April 1st, April Fool's Day, for the Two Rivers Jeep Club Jeep Safari. It's down in Pittsfield, Illinois. My coworker Matt, my ex-coworker Matt, and a couple other guys want to go down to Pittsfield to a Jeep event. Now, I'm going to tell you something. I've been to this event. I call this event Original Sin because this is where Tree Hugger 1 literally got the dents in the driver's door and I think the passenger rear door. It just smashed in like 2 inches. I have scratches down the edge of this truck. I literally broke everything for the very first time at the Jeep Safari at the Two Rivers Jeep Club. So,
and for those who just joined us who aren't familiar with Tree Hugger 1, that is the
2010 Trail Edition 4Runner that I was given as a demo like 10 years ago. And I was just going to go wheeling with some guys with some Jeeps. And a technician in my shop has a Jeep. He's like, oh, this would be great. Let's do it. We camp and go to Lake Park and then we'll go wheeling. Well, when you wheel in Central Illinois and you're going on people's private property,
yeah,
it's basically pastures. And Pittsfield down by Springfield it's a little hillier in some spots, but most of the time when you have a pasture in Central Illinois, it's usually because the land isn't conducive to like flat farming. So what you find is a lot of cattle pastures, livestock pastures that they've like set little Jeep trails in.
Okay.
I got my butt handed to me. Dude, seriously. And I don't even know that I knew to air down. I mean, I was so naive at the time. I was probably running 35 PSI. My tires were AT. I know that for a fact. They were like some Bridgestone AT tires, and I just slid all over the place. And unlike Jeeps with all kinds of like the rockers and stuff like that, rock rails, I had none of that stuff.
So was it bone stock at that time?
Pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah.
So bone stock and still kind of uncharted territory.
And
for
I
you.
just like banged off of trees. And at one point, I was like holding my arm out against a tree. And since I've had nightmares about that moment, there was a moment where I had my hand out the driver's door, and I'm like holding this tree away from the truck. And the guy's like, I wouldn't do that. And I'm like, I'm fine,
this guy didn't know what he's talking about.
Yeah, when I gave it some gas, I still like slid into the tree. But I've watched videos since then of people like having their arms dislocated and stuff like that.
You lucked out.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, it could have ended. You would have been airlifted somewhere.
I remember the first night we were at that event, I got dents in the truck, and I called Angela from the campground. I was literally furious. I was ready to take my tent and pitch it in the back of the truck and just drive out of there. I think I've written I think it's on the Forts blog somewhere. I was raging because I got into a situation where I asked for a go around, and this kid is like chewing on a piece of straw. I was like, "There's no go around here," and I had to go.
Did he say it like that?
Pretty much. And so I get stuck in a spot that literally is like a 30-degree angle in mud, and you have to do like an L around 3 trees, and I couldn't do it. I literally rubbed the truck against these trees all the way through, and I had to winch. I had to do like a snatch block off to the right to try and pull the truck. I was pulling the middle of the truck through the snatch block to kind of hold it against the trees, doing all this stuff, just to do everything possible to preserve my demo.
Yeah.
I'm like, here I am. What an asshat, like destroying his demo. In the meantime, the guys behind me, the other Matt, says, "Oh, that looks pretty terrible." And another older guy who's one of the Jeep Club members goes, "Oh, just back up, and then you can go up that way and get around this." My head about exploded.
Just turned beet red.
I'm like, I'm out here getting my ass handed to me because this young kid was like, with the straw in his mouth, didn't know the way to go. Because he didn't know he should not have been trail leading.
I was gonna say, was he doing it just to mess with you, or
he was inept.
Okay,
this is like everything in the world, Daryl. Whether it's customer service, whether it's politics, whether it's trail leading. I don't think there's any malice in anything. I think it's ineptitude.
It's just ignorance.
I think 80% of the world around us is ineptitude. There are 20% that are malicious, but I think most people are just inept.
At least he was chewing on a piece of straw and apparently talking like Huckleberry Finn. So he fit the part quite well. But it was a learning experience, it sounds like, that will stay with you for the rest of your life.
I think it's been 10 years ago. And now all of a sudden the group's like, hey, it almost sounds like politics. People are like, hey, you know, it'd be great. Let's take an excursion to Iraq.
Remember that guy who almost trashed his brand new demo on our trail?
Yeah. No. Well, we all forgot about that. Let's go out to the Jeep Safari again, the Jeep guys. Well, this time I should be prepared. I'll be airing down. I have the right tires. And
are you taking Tree Hugger 1?
1. Yes, 1 is going back.
Good. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can. I think that's a good. It's almost like a homecoming. Like, here's how I should have done this.
Maybe I might even, like, before we go, I might even just get like some mud terrain tires. The thing is, Central Illinois in May, you don't know what you're going to get.
Soup.
And in May, and I know there's a lot of listeners who are on the West Coast and around the world and stuff like that. When you get tall green grass and black dirt and it's wet, it's slippery, man. It's not ice, but it's darn close. Yeah. So if you're sideways or you have any slight angle, even if you're trying to go up a hill in a straight line, you may not go anywhere.
Yeah, good luck.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see. The conditions are going to determine everything. The fun news is we're camping. We're getting some campground spots. So it's at least going to be 2 good days of camping.
Yeah.
And
not that far from home. So that's
an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Yeah, that's not bad. I think you're going to have a great time with that.
We'll see.
Do some content. Make sure you film it.
Well, that's the thing.
Yeah.
I'm turning in the receipt because it's work related.
Absolutely.
All right. So I alluded to it in the About Daryl Scott section of the show. You couldn't leave well enough alone, and you're messing with the Fury.
Yeah. So the 70 Plymouth Fury 3 convertible I got, the motor runs. It runs. It's a little 318 2-barrel.
it's spring, so you haven't probably run this thing for any reason this spring. Right?
I moved it around a couple weeks ago when I was getting the motor, and the last time I started it, it was either a wrist pin, something in the bottom end is not happy. Okay. So it's on borrowed time, and I kind of had a feeling the car runs okay, but it was down on power. I threw a tune at it, and it didn't seem to make that much of a difference. Did a compression check, and they're not great, but they're not horrible. But I've got one that's lower than the rest of them by a considerable amount, and I think it's just tired. It's a little 318 that's done its due diligence. It's a good motor, and I'm gonna it's gonna go live on a farm the rest of its life. I'm actually gonna put it on a stand.
I was wondering what you're gonna do with it,
and I'll rebuild it. I'll actually send it. I'll probably drop the block off at Manny's at Pekin Machine and just have him go through it. Just a nice stock rebuild. But in the meantime, I said I don't want. In the words of my dad, the one thing he always instilled in me. And as a younger gearhead, I always got pissed whenever he'd say it because I'd always have some project torn apart in the garage. And he'd be like, when's this getting done? And I'm like, I'm working on it. My buddy's going to come over. And he's like, I'm tired of stuff laid up in my garage.
Auto cocoon at the end of my driveway that your girlfriend Beth said was tasty.
Quote, tasty? Since then, that tasty car has darkened us. Yeah. So my dad's been very supportive of me and the car hobby ever since I was a young kid. Both my parents have, and my wife. But there is part of me that I think is I think is like pushed my limit.
Yeah.
So he's like, as long as your stuff isn't laid up, if you're working on it and it's running in a week or two or a month or whatever, that's fine. But like, I don't want to see something with a motor sitting on a stand for 2 years. Mm-hmm. You can't keep the stuff laid up. And that's my philosophy too. So I'm like, okay, this motor's sick. I'm not going to drive it and enjoy it this summer. I need to do something with it. So I found another running 318 in Frankfort, Indiana. And I went and picked it up a couple weeks ago. And the motor's actually, everything came out fine. Everything's fine. But the freeze plugs on the back, when you disconnect the transmission from the motor, those little frost plugs, one of them there was a little seepage. So I'm going to have to pull those out. If I'm going to pull those out, I'm probably going to drop the pan, probably going to put an oil pump in it, put new rear main seal in it. I'm also looking at now probably a soft rebuild on it, just so I can have something that's reliable so I can run it and enjoy the car while I do the other motor. There's part of me that still says, just rattle can it and put it in the car and stop. Just get it running. But after seeing what I've seen, I'm like, I might put a little bit of money into this. I think a couple $100, I'll get this motor tuned up, dropped into the car.
You kind of alluded last episode about who you bought it from and everything like that. Did he rebuild it or anything, or you just pulled it out of another car?
No, it's a low mileage motor that he pulled out of a 73 Charger, Dodge Charger. Okay. That was he's got basically a full race 340 and a 727 trans he's going to put in the car. And he's like, I don't need this 2-barrel 318 sitting in my garage. I'm not going to do anything with it. So I bought it from him, and actually I got a spare trans for the car too. That I think it's going to be good to drop this in, get the car back on the road so I can enjoy it this summer while I work on the motor on my own time. That's the goal. Whether that happens or not, my wife is convinced. I think Sarah's convinced it's going to take 3 times as long and 4 times as much money as I think.
Why would she ever think that?
I don't know.
I mean, how's the Cadillac doing?
It runs.
Does it?
Sort of.
Can you put it in reverse and pull it out?
Not yet. I don't have brakes, but it runs.
Well, you have a hill. It would stop eventually, right?
It would stop into my neighbor's backyard, probably. Yeah, so I don't know. Yeah, I've got other projects at home, so the goal with this one is to just kind of maybe take a couple of weekends, clean up, regasket the motor, paint it, drop it in, and keep on trucking. So
I know you spent a lot of money on the engine and everything, but you talked about the last time. I know this isn't on the script.
Yeah.
Daryl and I do lots of notes ahead of time.
Meticulous.
And we know exactly what we're going to talk about. So I'm going off script, and I hope his head doesn't explode when I bring him extra questions.
Not at all.
But you had said, like, I think the car has like a smell, or maybe the upholstery isn't perfect. Have you thought about doing anything like the interior to make it like more livable as you spend time at this summer?
Yeah, that's the other thing too. While it's kind of laid up, to use my dad's parlance, I do want to put carpet in it.
Can you get like a preformed or anything?
Yeah, so that's the nice thing about the C-body Mopar is I can get a fair amount of parts. The convertible's not so much because it is realistically, that's the last Plymouth convertible they made up until the. If you want to count
Seriously?
the Prowler, like that stupid.
Don't count that. Yeah.
Okay, good. I don't either. That's the last Plymouth convertible that they did make.
Wow.
So, and it's in pretty low numbers. So there's not a ton of parts out there for it that are convertible specific. So like things like weather stripping, some of the interior door pieces and things like that. But otherwise, like carpet. The top, I can get the top, the trunk mat, and stuff like that. So I'll do a little.
What
bit
about
of
like the rib surface of the like the bench seat or stuff like that? Would you just like get generic and stuff like that?
Yeah, I'd probably have to have somebody redo those and just do them custom.
Okay.
That's come up a little bit too. Sarah thinks she might be able to stitch them and kind of do some clear thread or something like a.
But you have to have a decent pad behind it and all that stuff too, right?
It's okay. Yeah. From my standpoint, I'd love to. I need to put a top on it. Convertible top's pretty ratty, and I'd like to freshen up the interior a little bit. We go back and forth. There's part of me that wants to keep it 100% stock, and then there's part of me that thinks a black interior and a black top would look way better on that car than the green and the white.
A black top? I don't know.
I think it would look better than the white.
You think?
The white and the beige?
But ideally, when you're driving that car, the top's down anyway, so realistically, nobody sees it with the top up, right?
No,
I guess in the 70s, a black top was kind of a thing.
Well, and also I think the car was originally sold new in Arizona. So if you look at it from a desert standpoint, white's going to be a lot cooler inside. Mm-hmm. The car's got factory air. It's a very unique car. I mean, from my perspective, and I do want to do it justice. So I'm not going to do anything that's like going to harm the car. But there's part of me that thinks a black top might look better. I don't know. Maybe that's a use for AI. Maybe I'll take a couple pictures and say,
Don't use AI, Daryl.
No,
Don't use it.
I know. But just give me some options at least. So we'll see. My fear is that I'm going to get into things and I'll tear it up and then it'll be like full-blown restoration.
But doing a carpet's pretty easy nowadays. I mean, is there a center console in that thing, or is it just...
No, it's a bench.
So that should be easy enough. Pop the seats out, put the carpet down, right?
It is. If I have a top done, that's going to be like a fair amount of money.
Yeah.
If I have the seats done, that's a fair amount of money.
Yeah, because we did the top on the convertible. It was like $3,000 years ago.
Yeah,
that was like 5 years ago.
I think if I got mine done, it'd be around $5,000.
Wow.
Yeah. A friend of mine had a Caprice Classic convertible done, and it was $4,500. That was 2 years ago. So I'm sure it's more now. So there's part of me that's like, but that's where you spend your time, is in the interior of the car.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's got to run and drive, but there's part of me that's like, it's worth having the seats done. It's worth having the top done. All the things to help get that car to that point where I'm proud of it. Mm-hmm. Right now, it's just it's cool.
That car with a black top would look nice, actually. The contrast with, yeah.
I think so, and like the black beltline trim and the black hubcaps that are on the car, I think it would look nice, but we'll see. I also want to be respectful of its provenance, because it's a uniquely optioned car, I think. So we'll see.
Interesting that car is got the legs on it that keeps you busy.
It does. And by the way, if you're ever watching the old reruns of the Brady Bunch,
yeah,
Mr. Brady had one.
Really?
It was blue. He had it for one season. Yes, he had a...
What color was the top? White?
I never saw it with the top up. Good point to your point.
So a friend of mine, Matt Wagner, he said, have you ever seen a guy unhappy in a convertible?
Never.
Yeah, that's the point, because he always drove me out. And it didn't matter if it's 30 degrees outside. He'd have the top down. And
that's why I love that car, and I love our Celica. None of them are like showstoppers.
Yeah, it's like our green Celica.
Who cares, man? We went out. Sarah and I went out to dinner the other night in the Celica, and it was 78 degrees.
Yeah.
We had the music playing. We're just my hair's a mess. Her hair's a mess. We're having a blast.
Yeah.
And everybody needs a convertible. I'm a firm believer in that.
I agree. Absolutely.
Treat yourself. Buy an old used something with a note. What is the line in not Leaving Us? What's Fear and Loathing? As your attorney, I advise you to get a very fast car with no top. And then they go into Caprice and do drugs. Don't do that, though, kids.
All right.
The other things I'm doing in the garage, heater control valve, the replacement in the 55 Plymouth. I'm getting that replaced. I actually I removed the old one without breaking anything, and I got a new one. I got a rebuild kit.
Is this like on the firewall at the hoses or something?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. It was leaking. It was kind of making a mess inside. So I got a rebuild kit to fix it. But then I found a replacement new old stock valve, just in case I'd screw it up. I've got a replacement for that, too. So actually that came apart pretty easy. Sarah helped me get that out, and I credit her with talking me off a ledge because I was about 1 second away from ripping some stuff and breaking some stuff, and she's like, "I think there's another clip on this side." I'm like, "Okay, yeah, there is." So it's helpful to have a partner in crime, even if you think you know everything, guys. It's helpful to have a partner.
Well, that's what YouTube's for, right?
Sometimes. So that's in full effect there. And then tool organization. Eric, do you get served up the like Instagram ads where like, you need this new organizer for your sockets. You need a magnetic screwdriver set.
I don't get that, but I get shamed. Our garage is so gross. And
No,
I think
it's not. What's gross about it?
We need to sand. It's unfinished. In America, when you buy a house, they don't finish the garage. Mm-hmm. It's the weirdest thing. Why don't they finish them? So I got all these like plaster spots so I need to sand, I need to paint, and I think I just need to buy some tool organization in there.
I think you should squeeze it in because right now on the TikTok shop, no, I don't. They probably still are. I've been buying my stuff on Amazon though. I've been buying the magnetic socket holders because I've got the ones like the old Craftsman ones that like you like connect them. They're plastic. And you're like, the 10 millimeter goes here. Well, after 5 or 10 years...
Then they don't stick in there anymore, right?
No.
Yeah.
So the first thing you do is you slam the drawer shut and everything falls apart. Or, heaven forbid, you're finishing a project and you just throw the tools in, you don't put them in the right spot. And then, hey, honey, I need a 3/8. And she hands you whatever was in the 3/8 spot, and it's the wrong one. And then you get in a fight because that's what you gave me. That's what I told you. That was in the wrong spot. You're an idiot. I hate you. I want a divorce. So that's that. You avoid all of this, Eric, if you have these magnetic socket holders.
Oh, that solves everything?
It does. It'll actually...
Holy smokes, had I known that, my wife was like flaming mad at me the other night.
Yeah. It's marital harmony. The secret to marital bliss is magnetic.
My God, this show
holders.
is worth its weight.
That's what I'm here for.
Yeah.
Call me Dr. Daryl. But I've been buying those, and also like the magnetic the wrench holders and the screwdriver holders, all that stuff, so that when I open the drawers, I'm not a surgeon, but I pretend. There's a moment where I like open the drawers, like, oh, you need a screwdriver? Yeah, number 2 Phillips. And it's like, it's all clean,
nice,
and presentable.
Yeah. I have my Ryobi drill. I have like a little flip fold thing with all my bits.
Yeah.
And for 2 years now, I've kept that thing together, which is unusual.
Is it a record for you?
It is. It has all the little things, all the screws, and they all go. And I always put them right back in the same spots.
Good for you.
It's very nice when you pull that thing apart and you have everything you need, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Same thing, but on a smaller scale.
It's one of those little check boxes. You're like, I'm organized.
And my drill bits, I always pop the drill bits right back where they go too.
See, that you have to, because the next job you want to be able to just start working.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. What's next on our agenda here tonight?
Race Daily Kill.
Oh,
Daryl.
no, you didn't.
Race Daily Kill. That's terrible anyway.
That's fantastic. We haven't had one of these in quite some time.
This is your Help Your Local Dealer edition, Daryl. These cars are all listed as having the lowest sales ratings in the United States, according to iSeeCars.com. They range between 312 and 471 days on the lot after the delivery truck dropped them off. The ID Buzz 4 was on the list for more days, but since it's pure EB, I didn't care. So the cars we have to choose from, Daryl.
Yes.
Here we go. The slowest selling cars by Market Day Supply. Now, just so you know, the industry average for cars is 42.8 days. So when a car normally hits a lot, 42.8 days. Now, if you have a Sienna at Fort's Toyota, it's like 1 day.
And it's gonzo.
Yeah, but maybe you have a Dodge Ram truck or something like that, and that lasts like 60 days, something like that. So this is an average of all the cars across the country. But these are some standouts right here. So these are our Race Daily Kill selections. Today we have the Dodge Hornet. The Dodge Hornet is consistently one of the slowest moving cars with a 428-day market supply. As of late 2024, dealers had 14,000 units sitting in inventory, but they were selling just about 1,500 every 45 days. Now, the Hornet, isn't there an Italian, the Ghia, the Alpha Ghia?
An Alpha, yeah.
Yeah. It's the same
I'll
car.
tell you what, so the Hornet gets a lot of criticism. It's a decent, it's small, but it's a decent little SUV crossover type thing. I think it's got a turbo. I think there's a hybrid.
Yeah.
It's got decent
We're
lines.
going to go over some of that stuff.
Okay, all right. It's not bad. It's not bad.
All right.
Okay.
All right. And then we got the Jaguar F-Pace. It's identified as one of the slowest selling luxury SUVs. It averages just a 372-day supply with more than 2,500 sitting in supply.
Over a year.
Yeah.
Wow.
One shows up at your dealership, you just know it's going to camp out there for a year. And that's saying maybe for every one that sold in a couple months, there's another one that lasted 2 years.
Yeah.
Anyway, the Audi A4. Now, this one kind of surprised me. Audi's aging sedan saw a 312-day supply in 2025, partly due to its impending discontinuation and a replacement to the new Audi A5. I didn't think the Audi A5 was that new, but apparently it is. So I don't know what's going on here.
Yeah, I haven't followed up with that, but Audi's A4 is languishing on lots, sadly.
Yeah. All right, so we have some statistics here. It's actually, I did not do us a big service here because normally on Race Daily Kill, we dial it down, make it super simple. We have some information on the Hornet here. Compact sport utility vehicle. It comes in a couple different grades. We got the GT, we got the RT plug-in. It's got the 2-liter Hurricane 4-cylinder, 268 horse, or the RT 4-cylinder partial hybrid electric vehicle with 288 horsepower. But it also has the Power Shot. Are you familiar with the Power Shot?
I am not.
It's an RT exclusive. It provides an extra 30 horsepower for 15 seconds. That's kind of cool, right?
Yeah. Hey, got to merge the traffic.
Right. Now, the Jaguar F-Pace, the luxury SUV, is offered in 3 main engines, which seems crazy to me to have 3 engines. That's probably a problem too, right?
I would think.
246 horsepower, turbo 2-liter. Wait, you're looking around.
I'm looking for a charger because my stupid laptop's going to die.
What kind? Do you need USB-C?
No, it's the old HP one, like your old one.
Oh, I got that one too.
Look at that.
Dude, hang on.
It's fine. So Power Shot. I think I could use a Power Shot in every vehicle that I own.
You want to try that?
Yeah. Thanks, brother.
Yep.
Appreciate that. Got it.
All right, cool. All right, so on the F-Pace, we have the 246 2-liter 4-cylinder. We have the 395 horsepower 3-liter. And we have the inline mild hybrid P400 with 500... I'm sorry. And the 567 horsepower 5-liter supercharged V8.
That's a lot for
Dude,
that
that's
thing.
huge.
Yeah.
That's huge. The 0 to 60 time range from 3.8 to 6.9 seconds.
That's impressive.
It is. Now, just so you know, the F-Pace ranges from $57,000 to $58,000, but the top-of-the-line one ranges $93,000. And the 2025 A4 is our final iteration of this version with the 2-liter turbocharged 4 and the standard quattro all-wheel drive and a 7-speed automatic. That kind of sucks, an automatic. Why can't we get a stick shift in this thing anymore?
Yeah, Volkswagen, Audi, Porsche, it's kind of done away with those.
It offers 2 power levels, the 201 horsepower and the 261 horsepower. And the all-new S-Line package is available starting with MSRP around $42,000. So, Daryl, I pose to you, you have 3 cars on your lot. You're a car dealer, and you can't sell these cars. So you can race one, you can daily one, and you can just kill one.
What would my picks be?
Yeah.
I've thought long and hard about it in the last 2 minutes, and I think I've got some recommendations. If it were up to me, and I had to race something, I would probably say race the Jaguar, because I would want to get the one that's the Mac Daddy, if you will, the 5-liter V8 with 567 horsepower.
Yeah, that's strong. That's strong.
In that small, because they're not that big of a vehicle.
Yeah.
I've seen a few of them.
Have you around Peoria?
Fairly rare, but I've seen a few. In fact, I actually thought my mom might get one because she thought they were nice looking.
Oh,
for a little bit, and then I'm like, yeah, but they're Jaguar, so. And I would say 178 mile an hour top speed in that thing.
that's strong, isn't it?
That's insane. So I would race that bad boy because I think it'd be a hoot on the track.
All right.
If I had to daily something, I'm going to be the lone wolf McQuaid here, and I'm going to actually say the Dodge Hornet
Oh, okay.
would be my daily, and I would do the hybrid. Here's why. Because gas is $1 million a gallon right now. And
Bajillion.
I can't even say it's currency. 1.3 liter turbo, yeah, but with the electric motor, it's 288 horse, which is more than the 2 liter gas powered turbo. I think this is the winner. I think this has got enough oomph where it'd be fun to drive. And frankly, it's got a hatchback, and it's a little bit bigger than the Audi A4, which I can't fit in. I would have to kill unfortunately, the Audi.
Ouch.
Plus,
the
German,
most established of the three.
I know, but German stuff's like it gets pricey as it ages. So the Dodge would just stop running, and I wouldn't have to put any more money into it. So that's in the long run. Race the Jaguar, daily the Dodge, and kill the Audi. Eric, what say you, my friend?
Nice. Well, I'm going to go a little bit off script versus you. I think we are going to agree on one thing.
So,
well, first off, I'm racing the Hornet.
okay,
I'm sorry. My cousin Mariano says if you want to feel the road, if you want to love a car on the road, you drive an Alfa. And this is as close as I'm going to get to an Alfa anytime soon. And at $32,000, and I got this super power shot of 30 horsepower for 15 seconds. Yeah, I'm going crazy on this thing. Top speed, 140 miles an hour. That's still pretty good for a small car.
that's fair.
I think this car is going to be a ton of fun on the track, and it's small enough that I don't want to daily it every day. So I think this is the one that I hop on and put my helmet on
Okay,
and have some fun.
it's your autocross car.
It is, totally. But I'm going to daily that Ranger, or I'm sorry, the Jaguar. I want to have
interesting.
Yeah, I want all the capability, but at the same time, when I'm merging onto 74 at 474 and have to deal with all the morons who want to box each other out, I want to have an SUV that can totally just rock and roll at 178 miles an hour with 560 horsepower. Yeah, I'm doing the Range Rover. Not to mention, I can look, what they say, it look good on the track, but it can also look good when I'm pulling up to the fancy restaurant,
It does have a look.
Yes.
They're sleek.
Yeah.
They're sleek.
It's a Jaguar. Jaguar.
What color? British Racing Green?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. How could you have a Jaguar and not green?
It's illegal.
And I'm killing the Audi. And only,
No love for
honest
the
to God,
Audi.
if the Audi were a stick shift, there was even an option for a manual transmission. I might change my mind on it because I really think that the all-wheel drive would be a ton of fun, even with a 2-liter turbo.
Yeah.
Audis are great cars to drive, and I think the A4 and its small frame it's literally as close to a Volkswagen as you're going to get. It would be a ton of fun, but unfortunately in this situation versus these other two cars, I'm going to blow my brains out with that Hornet. I know that car is just going to be a piece of garbage, hot garbage, but I'm going to get it fired up for race day all the time, and everybody's going to be like, man, that's pretty cool. So we got a Hornet out here. You never see those. And I'll be like, yeah, because it's a piece of garbage.
2 years. Yeah. I give it. Here, look at this. I even pulled it up online. You can't tell me that's not that's an Alpha in disguise. Yeah. That's a beautifully crafted, sculpted machine. Yeah. And I want no part of it. Yeah. Because after the warranty's up, that's toast.
I think it'd be fun, man.
It would be. Yeah. It would be.
Anyway, I didn't say anything about suspension relief or anything. Like maybe it lowers itself or anything like that. But that power shot. Power shot.
That sounds like something you get at a smoothie bar, right?
Or at the gas station, the trucker stop.
Like next to 5 Hour Energy, that's like $1 cheaper. Oh, power shot! I'll take that. What's in it? You don't want to know.
You don't want to know. You got on blood pressure medicine? You on blood thinners?
Surgeon General's warning on the side of it.
Yeah, because Rosie at the truck stop cares, right?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. At Dodge Hornet, though, I'm gonna actually look at these things. Build and price. Why would you build and price one? You've got 413 days on the dealer lots on average.
Well, just you wait, Daryl. My car of the week is in vain with all these other things.
I can't wait.
I certainly was in a tune when I was coming up with these things. All right. Let's boogie along here. We're an hour deep in the show. Let's get on to the news. There we go. All right. This one's my article, Daryl. I own this article.
Own it.
Toyota is reviving the Celica, and it surely won't be boring. A 2-liter engine is considered. Toyota is working on developing the right powertrain for revival of the Celica sports car, expected to see the light of the day sometime next year. And this is by Elena Lukin from autoevolution.com. All right. Toyota pulled the plug on the Celica after the 2005 model year and put an end to production in April of 2006 after the car had been on the market for 7 generations. The story started back in 1970 when the automaker launched the affordable and sporty 2-door coupe. Throughout its 30-year run, the Celica made its rules in the sporty subcompact segment. In America, it basically brought muscle car vibes in the form of a car that was smaller and more fuel efficient to the gas-guzzling Ford Mustang, Chevy Camaro, and Dodge Charger, and Dodge Challenger. Okay, blah, blah, blah. Toyota confirmed that the Celica would be making a comeback in 2024 in Raleigh, Japan, when the then vice president of the automaker, Yuki Nakajima, revealed, "We're making the Celica."
Nice.
I'm thrilled with this. And I saw some of the spy photos, and I'm like, Ange and I bought our second new car in our lives last year. Then we bought our third new car in our lives a month ago.
Which looks great, by the way.
It's cool.
Yeah,
I bought a new Prius, and bought two new Priuses last year. It just worked out that another Prius, we rolled into a different one. But I could honestly see myself I could see Angela even saying, I'd get rid of the Prius to get a Celica. We're Celica people. We've had countless Celicas over the years. Although the 90s Celicas always hold something on me. Mm-hmm. I never really cared for that last generation they're talking about back in 2006. But it'll be fun to see what comes out. The spy photos, as usual, they put triangles all over the car. You can't see what the lights are going to look like. You can't see any of the, what really the car is going to take shape as. Yeah. But it will be a two-door, which we haven't had a two-door car we own the Celicas, but as far as a two-door functional car for us to drive to work all the time and do stuff, it'd be interesting to see. So I'm super excited that we have the BZ. The 86, which is like a Subaru. We have the Supra, which is a BMW.
Yeah.
How nice it will be for Toyota to actually have a two-door sports car that they're actually making with their own engine and their own drivetrain.
Well, and affordable. That's the other thing. The Celica was always the attainable sports car.
Yeah.
It was I want a fun-to-drive, sporty car. I can...
Well, the GR Corolla was kind of supposed to be that, but it wasn't. It's $50,000.
I was going to say, even used, with some miles on them, they're mid-40s. They're, true to form, Toyota holding their value, but, there's not, I think that closes a few doors for people. Whereas if you have something that's, $40K, brand new, out the door, that looks like that, functions like any other sports car.
You can buy a Corolla Cross, pretty basic, with... automatic all-wheel drive for $31,000. So what if they made a sports car for mid-30s?
Yeah.
That'd be fun. The 86 was high 20s or low 30s, but by the time it got to its point now, 34,000 kind of gets you one. So it'd be interesting to see if they can hold the number near that 86. I keep calling it the BRZ.
It's what
86
it is,
FRS, but it's all the same thing with Subaru. But it'd be interesting to see if they can hold the line and if they're take that place.
Yeah, or if it's even the same buyer demographic. That's the other thing too. Celica's always appealed to. Yeah, I've had aunts and uncles that owned Celicas back in the day, and they were still are your typical folks that didn't have kids, didn't have a family, you didn't have to have four doors, so why not treat yourself and have something fun to drive,
right?
To kind of
and reliable, but reliable,
right? Exactly. So interesting. I'm glad to see that. By the way, I didn't send it to you, but there was a $700 Celica convertible.
Don't need it.
No, you don't need it. You need the transmission for your other one.
Oh,
yeah.
Actually, I need a. So the funny thing is, because it's an ASC conversion on that, one of my windows is starting to fall apart because the
regulator.
Yeah, regulator is starting to get wonky in there. And they're specialized parts. You can't just call AutoZone and get that thing. So it's definitely a dealer-only part. There will become a time where you cannot get that part anymore.
So your $700 parts car is also one you can just keep behind the outbuilding. And
exactly. That's just what I want.
Come to the dark side, Eric.
Yeah, right. All right. All right, what do you got here, Daryl?
So here's another Toyota story. Toyota boasts battery with 745-mile range and 10-minute charging time. Here's how it would impact all EVs.
That sounds crazy.
It does. It sounds too good to be true. This is from Leo Collis from Yahoo Autos. Toyota is gaining confidence in bringing new battery technology to the electric vehicle market that could shake up the whole sector. Japanese manufacturer has been working on delivering solid-state EV batteries in future models, which could increase driving range and decrease charging times. According to Toyota, as Yahoo Finance reports, these batteries could deliver 745 miles on a single charge, while recharging would only take around 10 minutes. Companies estimated that vehicles boasting solid-state batteries could be available starting as soon as 2027 or 28. Such technology could make real differences in consumer choices, with many unconvinced about switching from dirty fuel-powered cars to cleaner electric ones because of concerns about driving range. The whole range anxiety thing, I don't know. Maybe it's overblown.
It's true.
So as much as it was? Or?
Well, no, because some of the newer cars get 400 miles. But,
that's what I'm saying.
Most of the cheaper ones, if you get the totally cheap Toyota BZ4X, it's 200 miles.
Yeah.
What do you do with 200 miles?
Can't go to Springfield. No, according to a poll by Washington Post and the University of Maryland, 74% of 1,404 respondents believe that gas-powered cars are the better choice when making trips of over 250 miles. Meanwhile, only 10% of respondents thought that fully electric vehicles offer convenience when it comes to recharging. I'm still seeing things like you obviously been to Wally's and other big kind of rest areas or truck stops, that kind of thing. Travel centers, I guess they're called. A whole big wing of chargers added in the last.
I didn't see that at Wally's, but I guess it'd be inevitable.
Yeah, it's on the side where.
Must be on the south side where nobody ever goes.
That's pretty much what it is.
Okay.
And of course, some of the places like Bloomington's got a big Tesla set up there. We've got one behind the Hy-Vee that seems to be rolling out and is quite active, quite busy. So I don't know. I think that the increasing fuel costs here in the United States, I think EVs are starting to get looked at again. I don't know.
And actually, I have a couple different thoughts, though. Because we talk about like Class 2 chargers and Class 3 chargers and how fast they can charge up like these batteries in a Tesla and these other models.
Yeah.
I mean, a Class 3 charger, even though it's like doing like super, super duper, fast charging, how hot is that solid-state battery getting in a span of 10 minutes to do? To me, it's all about energy transfer, and there's got to be some heat. There's got to be some compensation. How does this work? I would love to know more about this because it doesn't seem sustainable in some ways. And I could see where you're dissipating at a very low burn, 750 miles on something that it took that long to charge. But man, I would love to see more information on this. If this happens, this does totally change range anxiety, right?
Yeah, I think it wipes it out in a lot of cases.
How big is that battery?
That would be my other question. I'm curious to see where that would end up in terms of the platforms, because that also it impacts what your vehicle looks like. Obviously, the weight, distribution,
the architecture of the car totally comes down to the battery structure, right?
Yeah, especially like a friend of ours bought a Chevy Bolt that was.
Those were kind of hot a couple years ago.
They were, and he picked it up right before they had the big battery recall. But he picked it up used, and he didn't pay hardly anything for it. It was ridiculously cheap. And he bought it just because it was like a novelty. He was like, hey, I'm going to just buzz around town on this thing. Yeah. We had fun. We went out to dinner a few times. It's a lot of fun. But the car is definitely, it's not one you'd want to take on a long trip. I've also been in cars like the Model S, the first gen of that, and the Rivian, the R1T with the truck. Super comfortable. The range isn't bad. I actually wouldn't mind something like that to buzz around town with myself, because realistically, that's most of my commuting is 8 to 15 miles.
Right.
It's really not that. Yeah. So I look at that and I'm like, why the hell why don't we have an EV at home just for like an around town car?
Yeah.
And the answer is, I don't have any room.
Well, the other thing is like every small town has golf carts. And this is why do they do that? Because they don't want to deal with gas. They just want to putz around. 35 miles an hour is fine for what they're doing.
Right.
I'm all for actually these smaller communities and like trying to tighten things up. So if that means golf carts, it means smaller cars, stuff like that. It's perfect for it, right?
Yeah.
We don't need to drive 60 miles to go entertain ourselves. Let's just putz around, Central Pekin. Let's just putz around Peoria Heights or something like that, right?
I guess there's part of me too that thinks that it's a very first world problem kind of thing, where it's like, oh, I don't want to take the big gas guzzler, I'll take the small one. I'll take the small thing around town. There's a lot of people that live in a city like I don't have the money and the time and the space to have more than one. This is my car. Period.
Well, we're Midwesterners. It's a whole different thing. So sorry, folks.
I guess
if you live in the city, you'll never know what it's like to have 9 titles.
Which, stay tuned. We'll talk more about titles a little bit later in the show.
Will we? Okay. Yeah. Here's another one. We're going to go with more on the EV theme here. China just got another cheap EV America would love to have. This is from Mileta Kativovic. And I don't know where she's from. I just tried to link on her. Anyway, 3 years after the SAIC GM Wuling launched its original Bingo electric hatchback, and roughly 6 months after the larger Bingo S joined the lineup, Chinese venture is now preparing another member to the family. The model is called the Bingo Pro. The Wuling is already describing the next generation of the standard Bingo rather than just another trim or minor update. The official and filing-based reports show that this car is meant to slot neatly between the smaller Bingo and the larger Bingo S, giving Wuling a broader spread in the China low-range EV market. Visually, the Bingo Pro stays close to the familiar family formula. It keeps the rounded front end, circular lighting theme, and smooth surfaces and semi-hidden door handles that make the original car recognizable, but it also adds a floating roof effect, 16-inch alloy wheels, while launch materials point to 4 exterior colors: silver, light beige, pale pink, emerald. They like pink over there. Mm-hmm. You see that a lot. Emerald green, and in other words, Wuling is not throwing away style that made Bingo line popular. It is also refining it and stretching to a slightly more mature product. Wuling has not announced an official launch date or final pricing yet, but the family currently offers a strong clue. In China, the standard Bingo starts at $8,250.
Huh.
$8,250.
Okay.
And runs to roughly $12,300, while the Bingo S is priced around $9,400 to $11,300. Chinese market reports now expect the Bingo Pro to start around $8,700, which would place it exactly where it needs to be to attract buyers, moving from the base Bingo without making the Bingo S feel redundant.
Isn't Bingo the other dog in Bluey?
Bingo?
Yeah, there's that too. Is Bluey and Bingo, I think, are the two dogs in Bluey.
Yeah, well, you have a niece that you probably watch that stuff with. I don't know.
Niece and nephew watch it sometime, although it's like passé now. But.
Listen, I don't know anything about Wuling. I don't know anything about the Bingos. But I know one thing. If they're selling cars for less than $10,000 in China, and maybe we have the article in here about Toyota selling a car for really cheap over in China too.
That's become I've seen that pop up.
It's disconcerting for any American automaker, I would think, at this point, to see what they're selling cars for that cheap, right?
Do you think they'll ever make that a possibility over here?
No, I don't. It's all about they're controlling their market, but they're doing it in such a way that you would never import a car. Remember, like when America imported the Chevy Cavalier to Japan because they wanted to say, hey, if you can sell your Japanese cars over here, bring some American cars over there.
Right.
They literally have it set up in a way that they'll never be. Doesn't matter if you're a Tesla. Doesn't matter if it's a Buick or an Audi. Nobody else is ever cracking the Chinese market while there's companies selling cars for $8,000.
No.
Why would you? Why would you even bother importing an Audi?
Well, the only reason that was able to exist previously, like Buick was starting to make inroads in some instances and stuff in China, was because of the rising middle class in China, which previously wasn't a thing. So you had this whole economic little boom, and they're like, hey, there's a lot of money here. Let's capitalize on it. Well, that's not – I don't know that that's the case anymore. I don't also know that they're – frankly, if you had a Buick, it was a status thing because some emperor way back in the day liked Buicks or whatever. That was a thing. Well, that's a couple generations ago. Younger kids, they don't care. Mm-hmm. If they want a car, they'll buy the cheapest thing they can to get the job done. And so that's why you see stuff like this pop up for what it is. Not a bad looking little thing. It looks like a Nissan Leaf to me.
It does. It's small. It's very small. You can tell.
Yeah. But it gets the job done. Yeah. And it doesn't have to be some big showy,
and this is a
flashy
city
thing.
car. I mean, if you had to drive a golf cart, dude, how much is a golf cart at Menards when you walk in there?
Yeah.
$8,000?
Probably.
Yeah.
What's the one at Farm and Fleet had one too that was like the little the mini Jeep thing?
Yeah.
It was stupid money.
The Moke is like $20,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can go buy a 92 F-150 and if you just need something to bang around and put lumber in and to put your you use a little mule.
Yeah.
It's the same exact thing. You want something to bang around the farm with? I'm not spending something $20,000 on it.
But if you literally want something to drive, we're talking about the third car earlier.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you spend $7,000 or $8,000 on this thing, right?
It's not a bad
It
price.
doesn't say anything about range. Doesn't say anything about horsepower. The tires look tiny on it. Yeah, it says they're 16s, but
they look like 13s.
I agree.
They look like 12s. Well, let me ask you this: coming back from Italy recently, do they have the Chinese EVs over there?
No,
Mexico. You saw a bunch.
Not so much. I saw. When we were in Frankfurt, we landed, and there was something that maybe looked like it was made in Spain, but it was like a Chinese car. But no, you don't see a whole lot of. You see a lot of Toyotas, a lot of because they're hybrids over there, and a lot of Fiats.
Okay.
You don't see much Chinese. Now Mexico, when we were in Mexico City last year, Chinese cars everywhere.
Yeah, you sent pictures like with the BYDs and some of the others.
Yeah, VinFast, all these brands you could never dream of here. But they're becoming a problem because they're in North America. They're going to cross the border.
I've already seen in my neighborhood a guy, it's not an EV, but just talking about cars across the border. Family bought a house a block away, and I was driving the other day, and I drove down the street, and I saw a badge on it, and it said Nissan Micra. And I'm like, they don't sell that here. And I went home and I Googled it. They don't. They sell it in Mexico.
Oh, interesting.
So it was somebody who, I don't know if it's a family member or if it's, I don't even know. I don't even know how it's registered. It's got Illinois plates. It's a newer car.
Interesting.
And I'm like, how does that even, I don't even know how they get that here. But it's already happening at some level.
Yeah.
So maybe there's a loophole or something.
You run so many risks when you drive a car like that in the States and you have a problem.
Yeah, where do you go?
Even when Canadian people have cars down here for recalls.
Yeah.
In the States, we have to deal with that stuff, and it's a paperwork nightmare. So I look forward to I don't deal with those. And there's dealers all over the place that buy cars from Canada. I've actually thought about making a video at the dealership, like warning people. If you go someplace and they're selling buyback cars, they're selling Canadian cars, unless you love inconvenience, you know, don't buy it.
Yeah, just pass on it.
Yeah. I mean, if you don't mind like everything being difficult, then grab it. That's fine. It's a great deal. I saved $2,000. I bought a Sienna from Canada, but realistically, over the lifetime of that car, you should have just bought an American one. It's not worth it.
It's so weird too because you'd think it's not that big a deal, but
yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Customers call, hey, could I change it from Celsius to Fahrenheit? Could I change it from kilometers to miles? No,
it's not that easy. It's called what we call hard coded. You want to replace your whole infotainment system?
Yeah,
it's so weird.
Sorry, I got a little cough. Now, I got to be honest, Daryl, I apologize. The headline, the way that I wrote, you might just want to skip that blue section.
Yeah, I'll just do that here. Driving the news. This article is from somewhere, I think Yahoo Autos. Trump's transportation secretary, Sean P. Duffy, by the way, I read that as Sean P. Diddy earlier.
Oh.
Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy.
I think this might be from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. Yeah, NHTSA.
Freedom Means Affordable Cars tour to Ohio manufacturing plants. As you all know, Ohio is home to a lot of different manufacturers.
You could probably have like a driving tour of old factories for Chrysler. Right?
I could, or GM or Honda. Actually, Honda's first North American plant, I believe, was in Marysville. Nerd. Anyway, U.S. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy toured auto manufacturing plants in both Cleveland and Toledo, Ohio, to celebrate the work the Trump administration is doing to make cars more affordable for American families, revive the beating heart of American manufacturing, and empower consumers with more choices. Under President Trump's leadership, the Department of Transportation put in place rules and regulations that save Americans money because freedom means affordable cars, is what it says in bold caps. We have already seen car prices come down, and Ford had its best year in 6 years. Are these just quotes, like highlights?
No, really, I think the meat of this article is this next quote right here.
Okay. What this CAFE rollback, here we go, CAFE standards, so the fuel efficiency standards. What this CAFE standards rollback is going to mean is at least $1,000 in a price cut for those who are buying vehicles in America. And we talked about that, about a year or so, maybe even more, where the president was at the time trying to, cut...
Roll back I would say that was Obama era, but it was also EU.
Yeah, there was a lot of
2030. We talked a lot about 2030 on the show.
It's the average fuel economy for your entire fleet of vehicles you sell.
Yeah, but 2030 was like the end, like no gas cars, or like your fleet capacity had to be like such a certain high standard and stuff like that. Yeah.
Here's another quote from Congressman Bob Latta of Ohio. For far too long, prices and the cost of living have risen as a result of the Biden administration's failed policies. It's time to make life more affordable for American families, and the vehicles they drive are a key piece of that. I look forward to continuing to work with the administration to advance policies that will lower car prices, unleash American auto manufacturing, and expand consumer choice. So there's a lot more here.
There's a bunch of quotes. I guess
political stuff, but thoughts, opinions.
Yeah, I mean, here's my thing. I get rolling back the CAFE standards. I completely understand, like, in the short term, that looks like a more viable solution. Like, let's take the technology out of cars. mean, it would be like going back in the 70s and taking cat converters out of cars, right?
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, if we're going to roll back that stuff and the car's going to use more fuel, and we're in a gas shortage, I don't understand the economics of this stuff. I mean, I think they took away. It was like you could program your trucks. You could take out the programmers, stuff like that. And it was you got
like
penalized.
The diesel stuff?
Yeah, you got penalized by the Biden administration, right?
Yeah.
I think they rolled that back. So now you can do all that stuff.
I've read a lot more about it from the truckers and almost like the diesel enthusiasts.
Yeah.
We're like, yeah, thank goodness they're going to start getting rid of some of this stuff. And the people that are like super, super into this are the ones that are usually out there deleting their diesels or, you know.
And they're performance guys.
Yeah,
they're
I get
gearheads. I get it. And I don't think it should be illegal. But I also think that in the grand scheme of things, that if everybody starts dialing back their fuel restrictions, there's no way in the world that doesn't affect fuel prices.
Over time?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Again, it's long term.
I think it's short-sighted. Everything is short-sighted. It's like, you know what? People are complaining about this. Let's let them have their cake, right?
You know what I've heard too? It's like it's the when we were growing up is, well, let my kids will figure it out, or my grandkids will have to. They'll figure that out.
Well, I say that a lot with politics, and it's the wrong answer too.
Yeah, it's funny, it's flippant or whatever.
Yeah.
Here's the thing too. When we talk about giving credit where credit is due, I have always been for anything that makes U.S. based manufacturing the more affordable, the more attractive choice, the choice that makes sense to a lot of people, because at the end of the day, it's keeping the money here in town.
Yeah.
And so to speak. It's just like when my wife and I go out to dinner, we're not going to go to Shoney's or Olive Garden or some other place that's going to fold in a couple of years. We try to go to local restaurants, particularly ones that are either just starting out or somebody who's we know might need a little help. We try to go there and be like, hey, if I'm going to get a steak dinner, I'm not going to go to Lone Star Steakhouse. I'm going to go to some place here locally and get, like Hearth in the Heights, because that's where I want my money to stay local. Mm-hmm. And I think we've gotten away from that. As somebody who did grow up with, being interested in only American cars, the older I get, I'm interested in some of the other stuff that's out there too. However, I do like when we do invest in manufacturing. We encourage people to go into the trades or go into manufacturing technology. I love all of that. But I also don't like when a single politician is like, yeah, I'm at a ribbon cutting and this is my doing. I've helped do this. And I'm like, okay, sure, but it's bigger than just a single politician. Mm-hmm. It's just like the gas prices. Well, this person, this president, this president. Sure, but there's so much that makes that plays a part in it. It's not one person who's responsible.
Well, I always find it ironic because we don't want one person to make all these decisions. And realistically, it's many, many people made those decisions, right? But we always point to the person at the top who was there running the ship at the time that it happened. So.
Well, like the stickers you see, even to this day.
I did that.
I did that. You see it at the gas pump. You're like, this is all dumb. I saw one the other day, and it was our governor, and I'm like, all right.
He might have done
He might have done that. There might be some truth
he definitely
to
did that. He definitely did that.
Anyway. But when we talk specifically about manufacturing, here in the Midwest, that's a big deal. It's a big industry. What are your thoughts as to just overall manufacturing in the U.S. and then the affordability of the products that we manufacture here? Because when you look at what consumers are paying for, they right now especially, they always have, but right now it's about value at the time of purchase.
Yeah.
It's not value over the long haul.
Yeah.
And I feel like some of that too is like, sure, I can go buy, a Chrysler Pacifica. It'll last me 4 or 5 years before everything grenades and blows up. Or I could spend a little more and get a Sienna or a Honda Odyssey.
Yeah.
And you still have to convince those people like it's worth your while in the long run to spend that money on something that's.
There was a great
quality.
article on Marketplace this weekend. It was about the bicycle shop in Indiana. Did you see it? It was maybe Wall Street Journal too?
Yes.
Maybe NPR did an article on it.
Yes, I did. I saw it.
So I deal with a couple different problems with manufacturing in the United States. I really don't think anybody graduates from high school or college or trade school and wants to sit in a factory and push buttons all day or do like spot welds all day. Mm-hmm. So that article, and maybe we'll try and find a link to it, maybe we won't, but it was all over the place this last week. They had like millions of dollars in robots doing welds all day, and they had 4 full-time employees who were basically manning that station, and they were knocking out like tons of bike frames every day. In a traditional bike shop, you would have people making those welds by hand. But I don't think manufacturing comes down to human beings anymore as far as that goes. So
no,
I think American manufacturing has to change. I don't think that you can say we're going to bring back jobs. We can bring back economy. We can bring back, some of that stuff. But I think you have to be really careful to make people think that, the 1,000 jobs, grabbing coal out of the ground or welding bike frames or building
Model
cars
T assembly
or building
line.
cars. I don't think that's realistic anymore. And I don't think anybody wants to do that job for. What are we talking? There's all kinds of Social Security articles lately about people having to wait till they're 70 years old. So now let me ask you this: you graduate high school and you're 18. Maybe you go to trade school and you go till you're 20. Mm-hmm. Maybe you go to college till you're 22, 23. You mean to tell me you're going to work the next 55 years
in that role?
No, you're not. And is there enough up, where you can move up and actually find promotions and do stuff to gain ground? There's not. So I think there has to be a really hard conversation about what the expectations are of manufacturing. We can manufacture stuff. We can do lots of great stuff. But we have to acknowledge that people don't want to do that job for 50 years.
The landscape's changed.
It has.
Not only in the environment in which you work in a manufacturing job, but the type of people who are willing to take that job.
Yeah.
I completely agree. Something that did kind of cheese me off, the guy I bought the motor for my Fury from, the old Chrysler motor, he works for a Chrysler subcontractor in Kokomo, Indiana. And when I pulled up, of course, he's got a Dodge truck.
Your Toyota.
Yeah, you know where I'm going with this, don't you?
Built in America.
Yeah. Well, so he out in the country, middle of nowhere, Indiana. This guy's got a bunch of Dodges, old Dodges and Plymouths and Chrysler stuff. And his daily driver is a Challenger, and his wife has a Charger sedan. All nice, freshly waxed, really nice. I roll up there, and I'm like, "Hey, how you doing? You're so and so. I'm Daryl." He's like, "I almost didn't let you in my driveway with that Toyota coming up here." And I said, "What are you talking about? It's made in Indiana." Like, I drove the Highlander. The first time I drove the Highlander, and when I went to pick it up, I obviously took the Tundra. By the way, our 3 Toyotas, all 3 made in the States.
Yeah.
Highlander's made in Princeton, Indiana.
I thought the Solar's built in Canada.
Elizabethtown, Kentucky.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Maybe the first ones were, the first gens.
Okay.
Those were factory built, the second ones. So, the Tundra's made in San Antonio. Mm-hmm. By the way, more U.S. built content.
It was possibly the most U.S. built truck when Tundra first came out, and it galled Ford to death. Ford actually moved some of its manufacturing because of the Tundra.
Yep, 100% right. And the new Silverados, most of them were made in Canada or Mexico. Yeah. So if you look at the VINs, you'll know. Yeah. So I said, "What are you talking about? This is made here in your state." What? I said, "Yeah, it's made in Princeton, just further south near Evansville." Yeah. "Oh, well." And then he kind of took the wind out of his sails. But again, this is an older guy who grew up, thinking like, I'm working for Chrysler, I'm a factory guy, and he's close to retirement, so he's a different era. But at the end of the day, I'm like, even this poor schlub who has been working in a manufacturing job his whole life, and I'm buying parts of his car to restore one of my Chrysler vehicles that I like. He's going to dig me on the goddamn one of them Toyota and one of them foreign vehicles. I'm like, this dude, this put Princeton, Indiana, an entire workforce in Southwest Indiana, put food on their tables for, I don't know when they opened. Toyota MMI, I think, opened in the 90s. Probably right before the Tundra came out, actually. First-gen Tundras were built there.
Yes.
And I'm thinking to myself, there was nothing out there until this factory went in there. And if you look at Ohio, Honda's there. I think Hyundai's got a plant there. There's companies that are investing. So it doesn't even when we talk about manufacturing in the U.S., it's not just about domestic manufacturers. It's about global. Mm-hmm. That's really what we need to start focusing on too. This whole GM and kind of this old mentality of only American stuff needs to be built in America. Without foreign investment, some of these towns in Ohio wouldn't be nothing.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So,
but anyway.
No, you're on it. So I'm digging through here real quick because Mike Rowe actually had a post about, it was about pitting the blue-collar worker versus a white-collar worker.
I saw your response to that, and I've got some feelings on that, but we'll talk later about it.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I saw it was about the plumber.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he'd rather have a plumber who knows philosophy than a plumber who only knows plumbing. And I 100% agree. You have to be well-rounded.
Education's important. It doesn't matter if it's college, if it's career, if it's technical, whatever.
Show me you can learn. Show me you can advance. That's what I need.
100%, brother.
Yeah.
100%.
So, yeah. And anyway, yeah. You know what, folks? You can find that too. Follow Mike Rowe. Mike is... I love Mike, and I hate Mike all at the same time sometimes. So anyway.
Yeah.
I'm going to skip these next couple articles because we're getting long in the tooth here. But we're going to go right down to Jim Fairley because we brought him up in the beginning.
We did.
Yeah. Jim Fairley of Ford is making a U-turn on EVs, and he's flooring it with off-roaders. 5 years into driving Ford, CEO Jim Fairley talks to Car and Driver about the tough road ahead of him and how navigating competition from China. And we'll link the article, but I found this part of the interview interesting. So the question was, despite the Ford lineup that is very truck-heavy forward, you've spoken out about the need for Americans to get used to driving smaller, lighter cars. And Fairley's response was, I feel like we could probably do a better job in America having more diverse sizes. Americans once appreciated different kinds of cars more than they do today. And I don't just want to let a Corolla or a Civic and the Honda or the Kia products dominate the middle of the market, but I believe the best chance for us to do this is to apply our innovation to the future segments like EVs, because I believe it would give us the best chance to improve our fitness to compete when everyone else is going through the same learning curve. We have a great hybrid technology. Our domestic competitors don't, and we could come out with a great Civic competitor, but then when I look at it strategically, I'm like, is this going to help me beat the Chinese OEMs or even match them? I think, in my mind, that if you're not making anything, you're not doing yourself a service.
Yeah.
They're not doing anything. They're not putting any small cars on the road. And so to say that you're waiting to build something that's going to match, you're not building market share. You're not building any confidence. Who wants to buy a Ford car right now? I don't know what he's waiting for.
Yeah, it's kind of problematic. I almost wonder if this is just buying some time too while they try to figure their next step.
Yeah,
because globally, I think they've even scaled down some of the production and their market share across the world. It used to be, they could kind of prop up, things were going great here, maybe they weren't overseas or vice versa. Yeah. Now, I think just globally, I think Ford's kind of lost the plot a little bit. And truck sales, those fluctuate with fuel costs.
They do.
So all of a sudden, everybody wants a new F-150 when gas goes cheap. And then, right now, I bet you people are parking them or trying to trade them in or sell them or whatever.
When I landed in Vegas last week,
there
was a sign when we were leaving McCarran Airport. It was save $18,000 on a Ford Bronco.
Yeah.
$18,000?
Yeah.
That's insanity.
They're all over every Ford dealer lot.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the Jeeps, right?
Yeah.
The Wranglers. Every Ford dealer lot now has at least 20 Broncos, and they're really hurting.
At my NADA meeting, we talked a lot about the Jeeps and how they'd raise their prices so much. And to be fair, Toyota's raised the price on the 4Runner a lot. I mean, we watched them go up like $15,000, $20,000 the last couple of years. But Jeep, I mean, they literally went like $110,000 on some of their hot rod versions of them and stuff like that. They went way overboard on some of these things, and then they've had to retreat like $20,000 on the price on them.
And same thing, I've seen flyers for months now. 18, 20, 12 grand off.
Yeah.
Please, somebody buy one of these things.
What a deal! I'm going to go down there to the Jeep store and get a deal. Now I'm going to piggyback. This article was not in here, but just as of March 27th here, Ford CEO Jim Fairley,
like Chris Farley.
Okay. Receives a career-high $27.5 million compensation in 2025. This is the Detroit Free Press. And the key point, I'm just going to read the key points. Ford Motor Company filed a proxy with the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission. The filing lists the top executives pay at Ford. After the company achieved its goals related to quality and EV volume, Ford CEO Jim Farley made about $27.5 million.
Good for him.
The ratio between Farley's compensation and the average Ford employee, 295 to 1. So
nobody wants to work.
Yeah.
He was the same
Nobody
guy.
wants my small cars.
Yeah.
I don't. Can you even listen to a guy who talk?
He's in a different world, literally, and it's not Fantasyland. Because
he came back from China and had some. I think he had some really succinct thoughts about the Chinese manufacturing and how far behind Ford is. But he is not in his right mind. That guy. How can you lead a company when you're that out of touch?
Are you saying that a CEO is out of touch with the workforce that he employs? That doesn't happen.
I'm talking about the product he's selling.
Oh, that too.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't know.
You mean like the McDonald's guy who's like, I'm eating this product. It's a delicious product I'm going to have for lunch.
I saw that.
And then he gets so embarrassed because of all the smoke he pulled this whole thing down off all the platforms. Yeah. It's just here's the part of it. If you haven't figured it out by now, ladies and gentlemen, CEOs are not people. They're not real humans. They're humanoids. They're like people.
They started out as people.
At one point, they were an organic piece of protoplasm. Something at some point in their careers, in their life, in their DNA changes when you get to a certain echelon.
27.5. It's not. That's really nothing, right?
I mean,
that's not Elon money.
That's 1 year. What's his net worth overall?
Who knows?
Okay.
Okay.
Crazy.
I'm just saying, but that's not like life changing like Elon money. Oh wait, 20. That is still a lot of money.
That's the other fun part too. You know, when we were kids, you remember growing up, like how much money would it take for you to like kill somebody?
Yeah.
I'd do it for like $1 million. And then like all your friends are like, I do it for $5. You're like, oh sweet, this guy's a killer. Now, as a human being in 2026, it's like, how much money would it take for you to, be comfortable, to be rich? Used to be $1 million. Used to be, now it's like, oh no. I've had debates with some friends too. Like, how much do you have for retirement? Oh, you got to have at least like $5 million in the bank and investments and liquid capital. I'm like, nobody has any. Like, this isn't real. This isn't real. This is why people are in their 70s working at Walmart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a guy in my office the other day. He works for a company that does a lot of work for us. And I don't want to be very specific, but he's 70. He's still working. I'm like, why are you still coming in here? He goes, oh, they give me a ton of time off. And I get paid pretty well, and I really don't have to be at the office. I get to work from home. Why wouldn't I stay at work? And I'm like, and I looked at him like, you're the reason that people can't move up in their jobs. You need to get out of the way because you're not, and really, to be fair, he's not a good employee. He doesn't bring anything to my store when he comes to me. I'm like, you need to get out of the way. It's time.
Yeah, but what do you, like, some people that's they have to have that purpose. They have to have.
I get that, but he literally is admitting he takes a ton of time off, doesn't really have to do anything, gets to work from home. He's basically telling me it's a job. He doesn't have to work that hard. He needs to retire. He needs to get out of the way. I'm sorry.
No, that's a way to look at it.
And I just stopped short of like calling his boss and saying fire him because he admitted to me that he's worthless and he knows he's worthless.
Can we move him?
Yeah, out of my district at least.
Maybe he could be a taxi driver. Oh wait, we've got robot.
Yeah,
taxis.
this one's all for you, Daryl.
Okay, so Waymo. You ever been into Waymo?
I saw one in Vegas, I think.
Yeah, I've seen them in Austin. They were all over Austin when I was there. Scared to death of them. Waymo, the automated taxi, paying DoorDash gig workers to close its robo-taxi doors. This story is from Jennifer Elias, who, I don't know where she's from, but
I'll see if I can figure it out.
Thanks. Waymo's cars are driven without humans. But
it's a LinkedIn article.
LinkedIn. All right, here we go. Industry Insider. Waymo's cars are driven without humans, but when a departing passenger leaves the door open, the car won't move until a person closes it. See, humans are valuable, Eric.
Yes, they are.
For that task, Waymo is turning to gig workers from companies like DoorDash. Makes perfect sense. The self-driving car company confirmed Thursday it's running a pilot in Atlanta to compensate delivery drivers for closing Waymo doors that are left ajar. Wow. DoorDash drivers are notified when a Waymo in the area has an open door. Door is ajar. So the vehicles can quickly get back on the road, the company said. That acknowledgement came after a Reddit post showed a DoorDash driver in Atlanta was offered $11.25 to close the door of a nearby Waymo. Remember, that dollar amount was figured probably by AI.
Yeah. There's an algorithm.
Waymo and DoorDash said in a joint statement to CNBC, they're always looking for new and flexible ways for DoorDash drivers to earn money, adding that future Waymo vehicles will have automated door closures. Waymo didn't say when that capability would arrive. Waymo's reliance on people for simple tasks underscores how even the most advanced autonomous technologies still require costly human intervention for some basic operations. Valued at $126 billion with a B, $billion in a recent
way
finance
more than
round.
Jim Fairley.
Yeah, Waymo's central to Alphabet's other bets, which are targeted as using technology to try to solve big problems that affect a wide variety of industries, including transportation and health technology. Imagine having an autonomous robot doing your anesthesiology.
No.
Please relax. I will be applying lidocaine now. Door is ajar. Yeah. According to the company's financial filings, $126 billion, and they can't figure out how to close the door of their cars.
There are a lot of cars that actually like Benz or the big luxury cars, right?
Yeah, Bentleys and stuff. Yeah, Rolls.
But then this leads back to the whole thing of not being able to get out of the car because you're trapped because the doors won't open or something.
I don't know, man. We've got cars like Hyundai SUVs. The seats are folding by themselves and killing kids.
Oh yeah, that's crazy.
Where are we going with this? This is again trying to use technology to solve a big problem.
Yeah.
What was the big problem? I don't have a robot to drive me around my city when I'm visiting.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen videos. You've seen videos of these things on train tracks, going into puddles of flooded roadways and an underpass,
or the robot delivery things driving through the glass in Chicago.
Yes, just I don't need a Jimmy John's number 12 that bad.
Yeah,
and DoorDash people have some. I don't know. Can we have some standards?
No, we can't. They come into my dealership every day, and I'm who's this guy wandering through my shop?
Yeah. Just walking in like they own the place with a bag of stuff. And
and it is all walks of life, too.
Oh, yeah.
I don't get how much money can they possibly be making? Although I noticed my employees pay $20 for a biscuit and a hash brown from Chick-fil-A. I'm like, why would you spend that much money? I don't get it. I don't get it.
You're paying them too much, Eric. I think you need to revisit.
Yeah. No. Their values are different. They don't, they see value in that. As opposed to throwing money in their 401k,
or their teeth. No, I'm kidding. But the point of this whole thing is, what are we spending our hard-earned time and money on, and what are we spending our time as humans trying to solve? This is a solution to a problem nobody has.
Yeah.
I
would say it's inventive in some ways. You're using gig workers to take care of a small problem, right?
Is it because people don't want to talk to a cab driver?
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
Maybe instead of having people stand out, homeless people at the intersections to wash windows, I could just hire a gig worker every time I have a dirty window.
It's just
call a DoorDasher to wash my car.
Windasher. The whole thing's stupid. When you travel to a city, even a couple years ago, before Uber and Lyft were a really big thing, the taxi driver that you took from the airport, or the taxi ride with the driver that you took from the airport, that's how you learned a little bit about the city.
I get that. Taxis screwed it all up. Taxis monopolized. and had taxi companies done a good job and not been greedy, there never would have been room for Uber and Lyft.
Probably.
They literally monopolized. They made the rates too high. Some people figured out that they could have people with a fleet of cars and do it for half the price. And then suddenly, taxi companies are now more competitive. When I go to Vegas, when I go to Italy, I can get a taxi for as cheap as I can get an Uber. Wow, that's shocking. How did that happen?
I get. Yeah, there's a little competition that's helped, but
so maybe it folds back the other direction in some ways. But they left the door open, and now we are where we are with gig workers.
Yeah. Well, when I grow up, I hope that I have a nice career as a door closer for a robot taxi.
I think that's a great retirement career.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Sounds like a lot of physical work. Anyway.
Just follow the Waymo run. Folks, don't close that door.
Yeah, right.
I'm just going to sit here and make $10.
Yeah, wait for your tip.
Right. All right, we got two more articles here before we get to the cars of the week. Do we have time to knock these out?
You want to just skip ahead? We can pick these up. Yeah, these are long-winded.
Although the Rivian, let's do the Rivian real quick. All right. So this is local news here. This is Rivian. This is from Jose Castillo from RivianTracker.com. This is like a hot news group for Rivian enthusiasts, right?
Subscribed.
Yes. Rivian unlocks $1 billion from Volkswagen after a joint venture major milestone Is Rivian Tracker News? Anyway. Rivian and Volkswagen, a joint venture, RV Tech, has wrapped up the winter testing of its zonal electrical architecture. The results are good. The system performed reliably across both extreme cold in Arjeplog, Sweden, and in the heat of Phoenix, Arizona, covering hundreds of tests across all-wheel drive, traction control, and all-over-the-air technology functionality. The first vehicle to actually use this architecture was the VW ID Everyone, and completing this milestone isn't just a technological checkbox. It unlocks another $1 billion for Volkswagen Group to Rivian. About $750 million comes from straight-up equity investment, and the remaining $250 landing as either equity or convertible debt, depending on which prototypes W provides for testing. On the engineering side, the testing program ran into 2 phases. Arizona came first, with the teams from Volkswagen, Audi, Scout. Did you hear that, folks? Mm-hmm. Scout. It looks suspiciously like a Rivian. And RV Tech finalized the software functions and prepped the reference vehicles. Then those same vehicles headed to Sweden, for the stress testing of the ice and snow, which development leaders signed off on approval drives before calling it done. So, Rivian's alive and kicking. I don't think Rivian's going anywhere. I'm happy for that. I do worry about them a little bit.
What's their stock at? Let me check the NASDAQ here.
Is it above 15?
I think
12.
So.
I think 12 or 13 is always like its number, right? 11, 9.
Why can't I find it?
I don't know. Did they take it off of NASDAQ?
1494.
There you go. See, they're at 15.
Okay, all right.
That's good, I think.
Yeah, that counts. It's going to buy some more stock?
No.
Okay.
No.
All right. Good. So we've reached that point in the program where we've talked all about the news. We've figured out all the answers to life's great mysteries. The only thing we have to answer for now is our picks for cars.
What are we going to buy next? Because we have everything we want, Daryl.
We do.
In life.
We do.
I could do anything I want. I'm ready for retirement.
#blessed.
Yeah, and what I want to do is I want to save my pennies. I want to think about all the ways that I could save money so that way, I'm ready for retirement. But then why do I find myself on Facebook Marketplace looking at cars? Why do I do that, Daryl?
Glutton for punishment?
You think?
Yeah, I think so.
Did you just delete my car? You did.
Touchscreen, man. This was me. There you go. Okay, go ahead.
Now, sometimes we still find ourselves being greedy little animals, and we look online for cars that we don't need. We call that Cars of the Week, WEAK, because we are weak men. We are weak human beings who still love cars, have a passion for putting one more pony in the stable. I got 9 titles, Daryl, but who's to say we couldn't do 10 if we had to, right?
Sure. Why not?
All right. So this week, I got a curveball for you. Somebody called me. A friend of mine called me and told me he was buying an EV Dodge, and he was going to race it at autocross. I'm like, what? and when he told me what he was buying, it was like a Charger or one of those things. I'm like, oh, yeah, I've been reading all kinds of news reports, but those things are super cheap right now. And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, and they must be. So I looked it up. I looked online. I'm like, yeah, that's pretty cool. Maybe this EV thing is, maybe you can get one super cheap because, the market, nobody wants EV cars. Everybody wants gas cars, and the world's flipping sideways and blah, blah. And I'm like, let me just look online and see about this model I heard of years ago, the Fiat 500e, because I heard that was also a slow seller.
Yeah.
There's no Fiat dealers in Central Illinois. You have to go to Chicago or St. Louis possibly to find one. But fortunately for me, when I went into Facebook Marketplace, I found that Heller Motors in El Paso, Illinois, who's a pretty big Ford dealer, they happen to have a used one sitting in the lot. Now, it's a 2024 Fiat 500. It's in that beautiful Fiat red. It has no grill because this sucker is just a slick little red EV, and it's only $17,400. It's a 2024. It has tons of warranty. It's only got 1,900 miles. It's front-wheel drive. It's a one-speed automatic, Daryl, but you know why? Because it's only got one gear.
It's one gear. It's
called fast.
Like pedal to the metal.
Yeah. The Fiat 500 generally comes with a 4-year, 50,000-mile basic limited warranty, but it also comes with an 8-year, 100,000-mile high-voltage battery and electric powertrain warranty. So that means this car that's 1 year old with 1,000 miles on it still has 90-some thousand miles of warranty for the electric powertrain. What could go wrong, Daryl? For $17,000, I could buy this car, and I could have a cool Fiat and drive around and still be under warranty the whole time?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't I buy that car? It's virtually brand new.
It's red. It's Italian. It's sporty.
It comes with Apple CarPlay.
I think that's that alone.
Right?
I mean, it's about what you pay for a Sonos speaker system, right?
Yeah,
$17K?
Let's see. It has a backup camera. It has a 10-inch display. It has integrated voice command, push-button start, rear park assist. Even comes with Android Auto, which I could care less about. But so had I not been inspired by Sir Gabe Casey this week, I would have never looked this car up. But my brother, he was like, he now has specs around town over in Bloomington. He's the manager over there. And he was like, after he went to Italy, he was like, I need a cool car. And this would be the car to drive from Mackinac every day.
Yeah, yeah.
Here's the only thing I will say that sucks about this car. There might be other things, but what I know sucks.
You haven't driven it yet.
No. If you have a warranty problem, you have to go to Chicago. It has to get towed to Chicago. You may have dealers that are Chrysler dealers in the area who maybe service Fiats because they have to, but nobody wants to do a warranty claim on this car. So realistically, that sucker's, if it bricks, if it doesn't run, it's getting flatbedded to Chicago. And because it's over a year old, this thing could have been a lemon for all we know. It could have been a buyback, and there's maybe a problem with it. So we don't really know because it is used, right?
So the $17,462 e-price you pay online, is that a gamble you're willing to take? I mean, virtually you obviously are.
Yeah.
But in real life, or if like your brother looked at this, is the juice worth the squeeze?
I think so.
Yeah?
I think if you drove it 5 years and you lost $10,000 and you still were selling that thing for $6,000 or $7,000 5 years from now, I still think it's worth the squeeze.
It's a cute little car. We have some friends that just picked up a 2014 Fiat 500 Abarth in flashy red. And by the way, these cars look fantastic in red.
They do.
There's just something about it. This car looks identical to that, except for that solid front, and maybe a couple little small pieces.
But the solid front actually kind of looks retroed back to the 50s ones.
It does.
The 50s one didn't have that lot. They didn't have lots of grates and everything in the front.
Yeah, it actually looks really good. It looks really good. I'm looking at the range. 104 miles on the highway, 127 city.
So let's not scrutinize too hard.
Okay.
I only have to go to Peoria and back. I mean, it's okay. My brother only have to go to like Bloomington and back, so that's okay.
Commuter car.
Yeah,
it's a good commuter car. I think I didn't know these were that cheap. I've only seen one of these. There's a blue one, I believe it's blue, in Peoria Heights. And I remember when they first came out, this person bought it, and I saw their garage open, and I saw it was the light blue, like a powder, kind of a
cool.
Easter egg blue. I saw them with a wall charger plugged into the thing, and I'm like, "What the hell is that?" Like, I didn't know they. And I went home and I googled, and sure enough, it like just came out. So they were like the first person.
They paid too much.
They paid a ton. I don't know what these would have stickered for.
Probably
new.
30 something. Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder if they still have it. I'll have to drive by there and be like, "Hey, what do you?"
Like, no, I got rid of that.
I got rid of that lemon. No, you know what? I think this is cool. I think it's a wonderful pick. If you need a flatbed to tow it, that's a whole other thing. But just get AAA.
The 100 miles will barely get me home from El Paso, but I'll be all right.
AAA will tow you 100 miles to the nearest service station. Right. So there you go. Congrats, man.
Thanks. I think I'm an owner.
Let me know when you get it.
Yeah, ciao.
Okay. I picked something that's kind of the antithesis of that, but the one thing it does have in common, actually two things. 2 doors.
It's red.
It's bright red, cherry red, and it's somewhat sporty. I picked a 1987 Chevrolet Camaro IROC Z.
Oh, my God.
That is on Facebook Marketplace right now, and it is not that far away from us, but
This is every Midwesterner's wet dream.
I loved these cars when they came out. When I was a kid, I had like a Revell or a Monogram model. I put together one, and I stared at it every night. This gentleman is asking $16,900 for this because it's kind of cool right now. It's retro, everything that's 80s and 90s.
You don't see these at all.
No. These things got abused. They got rusted out.
It seemed like 10 years ago they were still running around. You'd see like some rough ones.
Yeah.
I don't see them at all. Even at car shows, I don't see these things.
There's one guy locally who brought one out to Cars and Coffee, and it's in this cool like bittersweet bronze, and I just geeked out over it. I'm like, man, you don't see this. And he drove to like Arizona to get this one. I do think these cars were for the era. I think they were pretty well built. probably more so than maybe the Fox Mustang, but I have a soft spot for those two. This 87 IROC has actually got a 73,950 original miles, according to the owner. He's the fourth owner. Nicely taken care of car. Paint looks good. It's got the the original wheels. Nobody's donked it out or done anything goofy with it. Original interior in the car. Unfortunately, it is not the optional 350 tune port injection. It is the standard 305. But it just means that it's just a nice cruiser. Yeah, it's not going to be a tire shredder or something you're going to go to the drag strip with. This is a nice cruise night. Pop the T-tops out. I don't think this has T-tops. This is a solid roof car, so even better. A lot of these had T-tops, which leak. They look great.
They're just like...
Yeah, you go over railroad tracks and it pops out. Yeah. This thing actually has the original window sticker and all kinds of documentation. Really nice car. In my mind, when I look at these, I'm like, it's like $6,500, $8,000 car. No, that's what they're going for. $16,900 is what this guy's asking for. Yeah. And as long as the car's not been wrecked or is a total, piece of garbage, it's worth it.
I think this is the generation of car now that's going to kind of move up in the slots. This mid-American muscle area. Yeah. Because I see kids at the dealership, the young guys in their 20s. They look at these cars and they get pie-eyed when they look at these cars.
Well, yeah, there's something special because it captures the era. That's why, for the longest time when we were growing up, 50s cars were everywhere. Oh, I want a 57 Chevy. You're like, okay, they're cool. They're cool. Right. But that's because you look at it and you're like, oh, that's a 50s car. 69 Camaro, 65 Mustang. Yeah. That's a 60s car. Yeah. When you think 70s car, what do you think of? Smoking the Bandit, or you think of a 70s Corvette Stingray. This, when you think 80s car, you think Trans Am, Mustang GT, or Camaro IROC.
IROC all day.
Yeah. What's the song? Teenage Dirtbag?
Yeah.
There's even a line in there about, driving an IROC.
He lives on my block. He drives an IROC. He does.
Yes. Yeah. There's a whole line in there. And I remember when that song came out, I'm like, oh, yeah, man, IROC's cool.
Drives an IROC and
yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. So I don't know. I think for 16.9 or 17. Well,
it's 39 years old. It pointed out in here. That's crazy.
But for that same price, you can get a 2-year-old car with a warranty.
No, but it's 39 years old. It's crazy to me. That's that old. I mean, I look at my Celicas. They're from the 90s, and I'm like, they got antique plates. This thing it predates them by a decade.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. Well, do you have antique plates on both your Celicas?
Yeah.
Yeah, good.
And my Tacoma.
Good.
$45 a year, baby.
You know what? Yeah. The state's getting their money from you. Don't worry about it.
I only drive them I never even put them on the Tacoma never sees state roads, but twice a year.
Just to get gas.
Yeah.
Just put gas in the tank or take a chainsaw in or something. Yeah. Well, I don't know. I can't say there's a clear winner here, but I think you're probably the more sensible choice.
I don't know about that.
I think you'd have a lot of fun.
Yours could, I think yours could sit for another 40 years and still keep running. Mine might be bricked in 2 years.
Could you just...
So, I mean, mine literally is like an iPhone. It's like you drive it for a couple years, it becomes obsolete, the battery depletes. It becomes more costly to repair it than to just junk it. Mine could literally be a disposable car. Yours could be around. Literally, it could be in a museum, 40 years from now.
Yeah, so, I can see that.
Yeah,
maybe the cottage industry is remember how guys used to hack stuff and put Linux on things? Mm-hmm. Like PlayStation, not PlayStation, Xboxes. I put Linux on. I hacked.
That would be cool to see if that cottage industry pops up on Teslas and EV cars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just all software.
Yeah.
It's just making something electrical work. So there has to be, even if something does get bricked or whatever, there has to be a way for maybe hackers, instead of stealing people's money and identity, don't do that. Learn how to hack an EV and make it cool.
Well, if we have a nuclear war or something, I think there's going to be a whole cottage industry for people to just make EV batteries do everything for us.
Yeah.
They'll power the house. They'll power your car. You'll have all these guys doing Mad Max stuff with EVs. Because they will be better than fuel. You could wind turbines up to them and solar panels.
Sure.
Yeah. There won't be fights for oil like there was with Mad Max.
We just need a dynamo, just a family dynamo. Everybody takes 200 turns and then hands the crank to the next person. And
the flashlight.
Right.
It's a Russian flashlight. You just keep crank it up and get the power.
Yeah, that sounds practical.
The Russian army must have had strong wrists. Is all I could think.
Years ago, I brought my brother. My middle brother Kyle was obsessed with the Russian stuff while he was a student at ISU. And I would buy him for his birthday and stuff. We'd buy him like Russian surplus stuff. And I bought him a Russian like naval officer's watch.
Yeah.
And it worked. But instead of like the watches you wind for like 36 hours, you had to wind this like every 2 minutes. It wasn't 2 minutes. It was like 2 hours. You'd be like, why does it stop? Because the spring is so short and you had to keep winding it. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense.
Glass nose. That's what we go.
I guess. Actually, the watch is just there to remind you to wind it. That's all it is. It's an alarm clock that goes off.
For Stalin.
Yeah.
Wind it for Stalin.
All right. And on that note.
Yeah, man. We took you to 2 hours of this bad boy.
Hey, thanks for listening. You guys are troopers. We will. I know we said this last time, but that was before Eric, flew overseas again. But we will actually, we will endeavor to put out a show here.
I have no airplane tickets scheduled for a while, and I got that Jeep Safari in May. I'm gonna go out to Colorado with Jake and Don in June.
Nice.
Got Southern Cruiser Crawl in October. So I got like a couple off-road events coming up, I hope.
Yeah.
It's going to be a fun wheeling year. And we got...
Good.
I didn't even mention it earlier, but we have the SCCA, Peoria, Central Illinois, SCCA, getting together on Father's Day weekend up at Mossville. We'll have Saturday and Sunday racing up there for that, too.
Wonderful. You got your season mapped out?
Yeah. So
excellent.
Lots of stuff going on.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Maybe I'll find a cheap flight to Italy in November. You never know.
Yeah, it is nice around that time of year.
Well, I got SEMA, too. We're doing SEMA in November. Yeah, I got stuff.
Okay. Well, we'll book you for a couple shows here, though, and we'll make sure. If you, in the meantime, while we're not gallivanting around the world, hit us up at info@throwinwrenches.com. Yeah. You can also find us on the socials. Leave us a comment, of course, on the platform that you enjoy us on. And thanks, as always, for listening.
Absolutely. Appreciate all the support. See you later.